in some other game, because he's just done everything that a guy could ask of anyone, and he's done it effectively. He's gotten the whole club happy about it because he's using everybody. You take a guy that like Mike Barber's having the best year he's ever had. He can't stand it. He can't wait for practice to start. So when I say Ken Stabler's happy, he's made the adjustment. What's really happened is Houston has adjusted to him.
Well, as his coach, Bum Phillips, says, Kenny spreads the work around. So does Jim Zorn, his counterpart with Seattle, another left-hander. And Zorn now has a running game to go with it all. And Jim Jodat, he's been great.
Well, it's unique because today we have two lefties, the only two first-string lefties in the game plan. Jim Zorn has been an outstanding quarterback of a totally different mold than Kenny Stabler, but he's been just as effective. He's only played 5 years. He's already put himself on the top as quarterbacks are concerned. And if I'm talking about similarities between these two quarterbacks, the only one is that they're both left-handed.
The Seattle Seahawks like to go deep. Zorn, as they say, leaves the hotel throwing on game day, and he's got a couple of great ones on either flank. And McCullum, who's coming on real well, and of course Largent, who's been great for 3 years now.
Well, when you're talking about McCullum, you're talking about a new face. He's been there for a while, but Largent has been the big game player for them. He's been getting a lot of double coverage. McCullum has come on sensationally. Zorn will use the whole field when he plays this game. Jodat compliments him very well. Last week he had the best game of his career. I like their offense. I like both teams' offense, and I'm looking forward to the ball game, Donnie.
Could be a lot of points. We'll be back in a minute with the Oilers and the Seahawks.
We've got lots of football ahead. We'll be ready for kickoff of today's game following these words from your local station.
Brought to you by Budweiser. For all you do, this Bud's for you. And by AC Delco, division of General Motors. AC Delco Automotive Replacement Parts, working hard for you. By Radio Shack, the nationwide supermarket of sound. And by Dodge, with the new 6-passenger Dodge Aries K and the new Ram Tough Dodge pickups and vans. Good afternoon, everyone, from the Astrodome in Houston, Texas. This is Don Criqui with John Brodie as Ken Stabler, who's hit on over 80% of his passes his last 3 times out Oiler victories, ready to lead the Houston team now against Jim Zorn and the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks have won the toss. They'll be receiving to start the game. As Tony Fritz of the Oilers is set to kick it off, Cornell Webster, who ran one back 90-plus yards for a touchdown in the preseason, is back deep, and Webster gets the ball at the 5. He's to the 10, 15 to the 20. Cornell Webster is clothesline and drops at the 21. Darrell Hunt, number 50, an Oklahoma linebacker, came down to make the play for Houston. Jim Zorn, a quarterback. Dan Durnick, his running back. Jim Jodat, the ex-Ram, who had such a great day last week against Washington, the other setback, averaging 6 yards a carry. McCullum and Largent on the flanks, 2 outstanding wide receivers. And Country John Sawyer is the tight end. And there's the interior line. Bullard at left tackle, CV starting at left guard today, Yarno at center, Newton in August, Holtz to the right side. First and 10. After a 16-yard return from the 21, Zorn throws out the flat. Durnick can't find the handle. Incomplete. It'll be 2nd and 10. So, John, Zorn didn't disappoint the Houston defense. They were looking for him to come out pitching. There's Doris. Kennard has beaten out Curly Culp as the middle guard for the Oilers. Elvin Bethea, a longtime veteran at right end. The linebackers, Washington at the outside. Thompson starts today at left inside linebacker. Bingham, the leading tackler in Brazil, on the right side. And the good secondary. The Oiler defense has only given up 64 points in 4 games. And now it'll be 2nd down and 10 for the Seattle Seahawks at the Seahawks 21-yard line. Zorn goes to the run, and Dornick is caught on top of the line of scrimmage. Ted Washington, number 59, shot the gap and was right there to make the play. John?
Well, I think you'll see Zorn put the ball up in the air quite a bit, particularly in blitzing situations. I look for Houston to blitz a little more than they do against most teams, because heretofore Zorn hasn't been very effective against the blitz. In the last 5 to 6 games, however, though, he's picked it up very well, and I think sometimes you get a tendency to think a man might be a little suspect in certain situations. I think Zorn has improved in that area as much as anything.
Third down and 11 now for the Seahawks, just inside their 20. No score early in the first quarter. First possession of the game, Zorn takes a look. There's the gun throw, and it's overpitched and almost intercepted. Largent was turning in. He was downfield far enough to make the first down reception. The ball come in lower. But Stemrick was the closest to it. Now the Oilers will get it back on a punt to get it for the first time in the game. And excitement builds up as Carl Roaches drops back deep. There's Herman Weaver, the punter for the Seattle Seahawks. Roaches, who broke one for 68 yards on a return last week for the Oilers, standing back at his 37. Weaver hits it. And Roaches, who got married yesterday afternoon, drifts back to the 25. They set up a return right. This is the exact setup for that long return last week. And Roaches isn't done yet. He's still going out to the 40-yard line. A 15-yard return on the punt after a 55-yard boot by Weaver. Stabler is the quarterback. Earl Campbell, who's had some muscle pull problems, back in good health, will be starting at fullback. Tim Wilson in there with him. Big blocking back, Johnson and Renfro, the flankers, and Mike Barber, a big tight end who's already caught 18 at 26 all of last season. Veterans in the offensive line, and they're good. Leon Gray and the former Cardinal Bob Young on the left side. Malk at center, Fisher and Towns on the right side. No score, first and 10 for the Oilers at their 40. Stabler goes to the run, and it's the Earl of Tyler taking the ball across the 40, not to the 42-yard line. Campbell gets ahead for about 3. The defensive front of the Seattle Seahawks, their number 1 choice, Jacob Green, who Coach Jack Patera says is the best-looking rookie defensive end he's ever seen. Hardy and Tuya Sosopo, a couple of sophomores in the interior line at tackle, and the veteran Bill Gregory at right end, coming off a big game against Washington. Michael Jackson, Terry Beeson, Keith Butler back the line for Seattle. It's second down, a long 7 now. For Houston, they fake the pitch, they go on the run. Moving with the ball is Tim Wilson. He doesn't get much. Left side of the Seattle defense throws him back, led by 75, Robert Hardy, second-year player from Jackson State.
We're watching Kenny Stabler with a utensil he hasn't been able to use in the past couple ball games. As we look at the defensive backfield for the Seahawks, Webster, Brown, Simpson, and Harris, he has not had Earl Campbell in his backfield the last couple games, so he's had to really carry most of the show. But I think you'll see today he'll utilize Campbell a whole lot more than he has in the past.
Let's see what he goes to now. Ken Stabler and the Oilers with a third down and 6 coming up. Stabler cocks that left down, and there's the pitch. He's got an interception almost. He was going to White Shoes Johnson and Michael Jackson, who intercepted one last week, came across and almost picked it off.
He did not even see Jackson, and we're talking about pickoffs. Jackson made one of the finest interceptions I've ever seen about 3 or 4 years ago in the Rose Bowl to beat Michigan.
That's right.
When the University of Washington was down there. He's got exceptional speed. Stabler was looking to his left side the whole way. Jackson was just kind of laying in the weeds, waiting for him to let loose the ball, and almost picked off a big turnover.
That brings up 4th and 6 for the Oilers. Cliff Parsley is standing back at his 30-yard line to punt the ball. Will Lewis, number 41, is back deep for Seattle. Well hit ball, way downfield. Lewis takes it at the goal line. He's going to bring it back. He's to the 5, to the 10, to the 15, to the 20, to the 30. Got a man to beat. He's got to beat the punter, and he does not. He's down at the 50-yard line. A great return by the Seattle Seahawks, Will Lewis. So the Seahawks come out with good field position when we come back after a 56-yard punt. Lewis ran it back 50 yards for Seattle, and we'll be back at the Astrodome in Houston, Texas in a moment. Well, a rookie free agent named Will Lewis from Millersville State in Pennsylvania really stood him up here as he took it from his goal line. John, look at him rip.
And, you know, he's probably accustomed to catching punts anywhere on the field and returning them for large gains, but he hasn't been in the National Football League very long, and he won't make a living trying to catch him on his own 1-yard line. He got lucky this time, but that's the way you get cut out of the league.
Yeah, Will Lewis wanted to give it a shot. He sure broke it. 50-yarder, and so the Oilers now on defense, and the Seahawks go first and 10. Straight ahead goes Jodat, who runs low to the ground and picks those holes, and Jodat gets inside the 45-yard line down to the 42. He gains 7.
Impressive thing to me, Don, is that, he's only gained 120 yards in 3 years with the Rams. Why they wouldn't use him more? Because since he's come to Seattle, when you're picking up over 6 yards a carry, I don't care if you've only carried it 40 times. You've got some quality that somebody should have seen. How they got him away from L.A., in L.A.'s situation particularly, is the steal of the week.
Well, now Zorn on 2nd and 3 gives it up the middle. There's a penalty marker down as the Seahawks carry for a first down. Andy Doris came up and made the tackle, but a penalty marker went down at the line of scrimmage. Here's our referee, Fred Wyatt. Seahawks were offside, so instead of 2nd and 3, they'll go 2nd and 8. And the rest of today's officiating crew: Tom Hensley, Ed Marion, Wilson Gosier, Jimmy Rosser, Vince Jacob, and Fred Swearingen.
Offside, offense.
There's no score on the board here at the Astrodome in Houston, Texas. 11:31 to play in the first quarter. The Seahawks with their second possession. Jim Zorn with a 2nd and 8 coming up. And the Oilers 47. They go back to Jodat. He works hard and gets ahead for about 4 yards down to the 42. Andy Doris, the left end, who was cut by Seattle a few years ago. And Ted Washington, the left outside linebacker, 59, made the stop on Jim Jodat.
Keep in mind, Don, people don't run the ball effectively for long periods of time against Houston. This is about as much as they can expect. In their front line, moving the ball at the point of attack, giving Jodat a little hole, pick up 4, pick up 5, 3rd down and 2. This one, it gets tough.
3rd down and 2 coming up now for the Seattle Seahawks. Dornick, a wing back to the right to block. They go to the run, they go to Jodat, and Jodat gets inside the 40. Didn't look like he got there, though. We'll see if he did. Elvin Bethea met him. Jodat was right near the first down marker. And then he was thrown back by Elvin Bethea. Former Chicago Bear, Jeff Seavey led the blocking.
And my first impression, Don, is that it's about a foot short of a first down. Let's take a look at Jeff Seavey. He's a new acquisition from the Chicago Bears. Their offensive line has been a strength of the Seattle Seahawks group. Jim Lynch is out. Since he is, this man's taken over, and it's been a little tough for him to get back in the ball game.
Good play there by Ken Kennard, the middle guard for the Houston Oilers. Slipped the block, and he made the hit just short of the first down. So that brings up 4th and inches for the Seahawks. Let's see what Zorn and get some Coach Patera.
Well, the last thing you expect from the Seahawks is for them to punt, even inside their own 20, let alone the other team's 40. So they'll have some sort of straight-ahead play. If they've got a short yardage play, a Fuller play, I look forward to using it right now.
You think they could be going to the bag of tricks this early?
They'll go into it anytime.
4th and inches for the Seahawks. No score first quarter. Zorn might call his own. He goes to the running back and carrying the ball for a first down. The Seahawks get it right up the middle. Jodat got the call. And so the Seahawks bust straight ahead on 4th and inches, and they get the first down.
And people sit and discuss the relative merits of doing things on 4th down that other teams don't expect. The Oilers were expecting them to do something a little weird, so they took Jack Tatum, put him about 12 yards deep. It allowed them to create a hole and pick up the first down. I got to go with Jack Patera's viewpoint.
Well, they made it go, and they're down to the 38-yard line of Houston now. It's 1st and 10 for Seattle. Ooh, a misconnection from the center. And a penalty marker also. They call that the YZ connection. John Yarno to Jim Zorn. They're both southpaws.
Right, and that time Yarno had his attention on Kennard, I'm afraid, who is the fine nose tackle for the Oiler defense. He has come on so fast that Curly Culp only splits time with him. They gave it a no call.
Do it over. Be 1st and 10 for Seattle at the 36-yard line of Houston.
Well, Don, what happened is everybody took off but the ball. And when you've got 20 guys intermixed, it's pretty hard to... Well,
very little can happen until Yarno.
Okay.
Encroachment, defense, first down.
This gives Zorn a very nice down to work with 1st and 5 as the ball's advanced down inside the Houston Oilers 35-yard line down to the 33. Largent is wide to the left, the top of your screen. 1st and 5, no score. Zorn play faking, looking long, firing in the flat. He's got McCullum, and Sutton Sam is down to the 20 with a first down. A gain of 12 yards on the play and a first down for the Seahawks.
Perfect opportunity. 1st and 10, play action pass. He gets J.C. Wilson turned, going back toward the goal line. We talked about Sam McCullough early. He's a guy that's come on so fast. Largent's been a great one for 3 or 4 years. He's the other receiver until this year. Now he's caught as many as Largent. Big playmaker, excellent speed, ran a fine pattern.
John, down at the Orange Bowl, where Merle Harmon and Carl Eller are covering the game for NBC. Baltimore's Burt Jones has just thrown to Roger Carr, and the Colts lead the Miami Dolphins 7-0. A 25-yard touchdown pass. Pitch back on first down. Running high with the ball is Durnick. And Dan Durnick, a 210-pound fullback who the New York Giants let go, and people there are still wondering why. They traded him to Seattle for a draft choice because he was a good player for the Giants. He's big and he can get outside.
You take a look at the makeup of the Seattle offensive backfield. Both of these fellows are prototypes of all-purpose football players. Joe Dat's out leading. Dornick didn't get a very good piece of the defensive linebacker, but actually got 2 people. Dornick followed him well, picked up 4 yards, and that's the story of Seattle, moving the ball down the field.
Dornick, a 3.5-yard-a-carry rusher. Seattle's averaging 4.3 a rush this season, holding their defense is holding the opposition to 3.9. They're going right back up the gut. On 2nd down and 6, the Seahawks from the 15-yard line take the ball down inside it and down close to the 13-yard line. Now they're going to spot it back at the 14. Dornick again got the call. 3rd-year player from Washington State.
Seattle does so many things offensively. They're the only team in football that's sometime in the ball game you'll see them with only 1 wide receiver. Other times you'll see them with 4. Sometimes you'll see them with 3 tight ends in the football game. They change formations as often as any team in the league.
An impressive drive, the second possession for the Seahawks. They now have the ball 3rd down and a long 3. Zorn tries to pitch it back to the other side. Baden swinging it out. He could not get the ball. Enough on it to get it over to Jeff Moore.
Well, he didn't have enough on it, but the problem was he didn't have enough people to pick up the blitzers. And we mentioned earlier that Houston will try to put pressure on Zorn. If it's effective, they'll do it very successfully. But I don't think they can do it all day. He's come on, beat teams for big plays when they've blitzed, and I think he'll get one before the day's out.
Efren Herrera ready now to try the field goal with Zorn holding at the 22-yard line, a 32-yard attempt. Herrera has it up, and he's got it. And so the Seahawks on their second possession take the ball down the field, ultimately capitalizing on a 32-yard field goal by Efren Herrera. And so Seattle leads the game 3-0. We'll be back with the Seahawks kickoff in a moment. Back at the Astrodome, Houston, Texas. This is Don Criqui with John Brodie. The Seahawks on their second possession just capitalized on a 32-yard field goal by Efren Herrera. And Seattle leads the game 3-0. Herrera set to kick it off now. And back deep for the Houston Oilers are Jeff Grove and Carl Rochus. These two teams met last year at the Kingdome, and Seattle blew out the Houston Oilers 34-14. Campbell only carried 3 times in that game for 4 yards. He was injured at the time. He had a bad ankle. 8 minutes and 51 seconds to play in the first quarter as Efren Herrera approaches the ball and drills it downfield. Carl Rochus, 2 yards deep in the end zone, is going to bring it up for the Oilers. He's to the 10. He's to the 15. He's got a ball. He gets away from it. Rochus then rebound out to about the 19-yard line. A return of 20 yards, and Carl Rochus gets it out. And the Oilers go back on offense, 1st and 10. Michael Jackson, that good linebacker, was down to make the play on special teams for Seattle.
You mentioned Rochus. He's really improved the whole Houston special teams play. Another man, Hollywood, Thomas Henderson, he's been around the league now. This is his 3rd club. He needs football right now more than football needs him. I think he's well aware of that fact. You're liable to see a lot of them today.
1st and 10 for the Oilers at their 20. Play faking. Stabler takes a look. Oh, and Barber almost had the ball with one hand, and here's a penalty marker flying in. Let's check some scores now. We wait the penalty call. Baltimore on the Burt Jones pass to Roger Carr, leading Miami at the Orange Bowl 7-0. New England has gone in front of the New York Jets 7-0 in the first quarter at Shea Stadium. The Jets favored in the AFC East this season, off to an 0-4 start. The Detroit Lions moving out, and that rookie field goal kicker Murray, as they move out in front of Atlanta 3-0.
Holding number 53.
Gotta believe Billy Sims got him started.
Didn't he something?
Detroit, Buffalo, San Francisco, and Washington has scored more points already in the first quarter against Philadelphia than they made all game against Seattle last week.
Heisman just threw to Ricky Thompson for the Redskins touchdown. It's 1st and 10 now for the Houston Oilers, and again penalty markers come flying in.
Well, you've got to give Stabler a little credit on that play. He's one of those who will draw an awful lot of defensive linemen off sides. Most defensive linemen look for some sort of rhythm count that a quarterback falls into. Stabler's one of the few who doesn't. Okay, he's standing at the line of scrimmage. Probably gave him a 4 count instead of a 2 count. Defensive lineman would love to get off on the ball.
77 defense, first down.
But it costs you 5 when you get off a little bit too early.
Stabler's something as Bum Phillips, his coach, was saying before the game. He's a quarterback who views the passing field from the line of scrimmage out. He doesn't look deep first like a lot of quarterbacks. He checks everybody out. First one open, gets the ball. Here's Earl Campbell, turning the corner, coming across the 30. Earl had to work to get across the 30 that time on a 1st down and 5 carry. He got a couple of yards. It'll bring up 2nd and short for the Oilers. John?
Well, that just exposes how active Michael Jackson is. I've seen very few linebackers. I've seen very few people one-on-one bring Earl Campbell down. He got through at the point of attack. Looked like he was going to pick up 7 or 8 yards, and Jackson stopped him for a yard gain.
Michael Jackson is 6'1", 220 pounds from the University of Washington. Now on 2nd down and 3, the Oilers. Ken Stabler drops to throw, takes a look deep, looking at the back now, swings it out to Earl Campbell, and Campbell is hemmed in by a well-tuned Seattle defense. As the Seahawks bring down the play short of a 1st down, it'll bring up 3rd down and about a yard and a half.
Good secondary play, Don. Whenever a guy like Stabler on 2nd down and 3 comes off to his fullback after waiting that long, you know that it's been good secondary play. Good reaction by the linebacker on Campbell. Michael Jackson made another fine play. That's 2 one-on-one situations. Campbell's got a total of 3 yards on both plays. Give him an A.
Oilers with a very diverse offense with Stabler directing it. Now have a 3rd down and about 2 to go for the 1st down. Ball at the Oilers' 32-yard line. Stabler swings it out. Tim Wilson has a 1st down. He's out of bounds at the 40. A gain of almost 8 yards on the play and a 1st down for the Oilers. Dave Brown ran him out of bounds.
So much dimension has Stabler. He uses, as we mentioned earlier, everybody on the field. If this ball's thrown just a little bit later, it'll be covered. He throws it at just the right time. Wilson finally gets a handle on it, picks up a 1st down. You'll see everybody in the Oiler group catch a few balls today.
He does spread that work around, Kenny Stabler, and now he has the Oilers with the 1st down. Seattle leads the game 3-0 with 6:59 left to play in the 1st quarter. Seahawks scored on their 2nd possession with a 32-yard field goal by Herrera. On 1st down, Stabler's going deep, and there's going to be a marker come in, I would think. Almost intercepted. Apparently, Mike Renfro fell down.
He did. He beat him and tripped. Stabler doesn't go down the field very often, but when he does, he'll let go of the ball pretty early. He had the ball in the air. His wide receiver fell down. Mike Renfro's as sure-footed as anybody in the game, but it cost him 6 that time.
Renfro had a step on the defense. He and the cornerback both went down, and as you saw, the ball came in very nearly intercepted as John Harris, one of the safeties for Seattle, had to play in the ball.
He had more than a step. He had all the time he needed if he just kept his feet.
So Stabler and the Oilers now break the huddle. 2nd down and 10 at the Oilers' 41-yard line. 3-0 Seattle. 6:52 to play. 1st quarter. They go to Campbell, and Campbell busted. Earl Campbell's ahead for 10 yards and a 1st down. Earl Campbell shooting off tackle with that low to the the ground, change of pace, speed, rockets ahead for an Oiler first down.
There can't be any more fun than having 2nd and 10, feeling confident, giving the ball to a fullback, having him pick up 9 or 10 yards. In this case, enough for a first down, keeping your drive alive. We've seen Campbell with the ball, Wilson with the ball a few times. He's thrown it to a couple of backs. The only person we haven't seen in the act yet is Barber.
And we'll be seeing him, I'm sure, before long. So the Oilers, they give Campbell 11 yards on the carry. And here's Stable on first down, pitching in the flat. He goes right to Barber, and Barber breaks the tackle and gets ahead for about 6. Mike Barber, the big tight end from Louisiana Tech, the same school that turned out Terry Bradshaw.
We've seen 4 or 5 players fall down. That time Stabler almost didn't keep his feet long enough to get the ball to Barber. And I think it has a lot to do with this temporary field we're playing on, Don, because remember, the Astros are still in the middle of their baseball season, down inside the 50-yard line. There are 5 or 6 real bad spots, but the carpet is a whole lot slicker than it is when they put the other surface on.
They're at the second base right now. The Houston Oilers, 2nd down and 4. Stabler takes a look. Home run ball. Finding pattern. Renfro can't run under it. Blitz was coming in. The Snake let her rip.
Defense won that game. Keith Simpson camouflaged the blitz until the snap of the ball. It's too late to go down the field. I don't think his wide receiver even knew he was coming. Renfro had no chance to make the play. It was just, let's go back and huddle up.
John, as you were mentioning, the Astro fans are certainly hoping their season isn't over. They got a game out in Los Angeles today after losing 2 straight to the Dodgers. Dodgers win today. They go to a playoff tomorrow at Los Angeles. Improbable as it seems, LA would have to sweep 4 games over this weekend, including the playoff, to beat out the Astros in the National League West. But it's a little nervous out there for the Astros right now. That's why the baseball field is still down. They're hoping the season isn't over. Earl Campbell on 3rd down and 4 from the 42-yard line runs the ball down to the 40. Short of a first down, will be 4th and a couple of yards.
I think that last yard that he picked up will enable them to go for it on 4th down. There's a penalty flag down there. I don't know who it's on, but I do know he's short.
Keith Simpson, number 42, one of the safeties, came up forcing the run, hitting Earl Campbell. And they're going to measure it, but it does appear to be just short.
I do believe from the reaction of the Seahawks that the penalty is on the Oilers. Looks to be holding.
With 5:20 to play in the first quarter, Fred Wyatt, the referee, comes over, checks it out with the Seattle defensive captain. Seattle in the lead 3-0 on Efren Herrera's 32-yard field goal.
I don't think they'll force a measurement because even though it would have been 4th down and a foot, they'll take the penalty. They've got to get them in a 3rd and 12, 3rd and 13 situation.
Oilers are a difficult team to assess this early. They've been winning close games. Stabler says it hasn't been very pretty the way we've been winning, but they are wins, and he expects them to get a lot better. The Seahawks...
Holding, number 86, offense, 3rd down.
Got the tight end Mike Barber on a hope. The Seahawks are even more difficult to handicap. Lost 2 at home to San Diego and New England, then they go on the road, beat Kansas City, and shut out Washington.
This is a real big game for Stabler. He hasn't beaten the Seahawks in 4 tries.
Right.
With Oakland, they got run out of the ballpark every time they tried.
Last 4 starts with the Raiders against Seattle. Kenny Stabler's come out short. Here's a pitch in the flat to Rob Carpenter. Look at the play by the defense. Joe Norman, an Indiana linebacker, number 52, had the play covered, and the loss is substantial, and now the Oilers will have to punt the ball.
That's such good defense. Michael Jackson just stuffed the screen onto Stabler's right side. He wanted to go there. You'll be able to see he's coming. He's trying to set a screen up. Jackson's got the whole play handled. Now he's got to come off to Carpenter. He doesn't want to do that. He hasn't got anybody out there to help him on the screen. Norman makes the play easily, and then the Seahawks are running them backwards.
Julius Sissoko, 74, and Gregory, 77, put the pressure on Ken Stabler. And then Norman came in to make the hit on the receiver, and so now it's Cliff Parsley in to punt, hits the ball from his 25. Another thunderous punt downfield. Here's Bill Lewis fumbling the ball. Free football. Who's got it? Might be the Oilers.
I think if it had been with the Oilers, we'd have heard a little crowd noise. They're awfully quiet. We can't see from this vantage point. But I don't think Houston came up with it.
52-yard punt by Cliff Parsley.
last man getting off the pile was Cornell Webster. I did not see any Seahawks in a position to make the play. After Lewis had dropped the ball, this baby takes quite a bounce. He can't even get a piece of it.
Jeff Grove coming after it. He can't hold on.
Made a good play.
Comes Brazil. And finally, beneath that big pileup, the Seahawks came up with the ball. They'll have it when we come back.
Next Sunday, start your day with NFL 80, followed by a football doubleheader as the hard-charging Colts tangle with the surprising Buffalo Bills. Then see the San Diego Aerial Express attack arch-rival Oakland. Check local listings for the game in your area.
This is Don Criqui with John Brodie back at the Astrodome, Houston, Texas, where Seattle leads 3-0. A lot of explosion, a lot of diversity in this offense, John.
I think so, but the impressive thing to me, Don, is the way Seattle's played defense. This is the 5th quarter, it looks like, that they will have no one putting any points on the board. It's the biggest single marked improvement on the club, and Zorn is not waiting around.
No, he's not. On first down, Zorn pitches to Largent, and he gets the big gainer out to the 42-yard line. Beautifully thrown ball, and Largent, who doesn't have speed but averages over almost 19 yards a catch, is off on a payoff end, a 31-yard gainer.
And he's throwing the ball into a defense that is not ideal. He has to put the ball right through the seam. Of course, he's doing it with the man that he is very much in communication with. Wilson misses the play. Vernon Perry has to come over and make the play. Got him out of a hole. They have an opportunity to get a big lead away from home in a very important game. That could have been a big play.
First and 10 after the 31-yard gainer. Zorn on the rollout, throws into coverage, tries to go to Jodat. The ball is separated from Jim Jodat by Robert Brazil, who can also separate you from your helmet. All-pro linebacker. Kennard, the middle guard for Houston's been playing good football. He's won the starting job. We'll watch him.
All right, what Zorn creates, and Jim Yarno's having a tough time of it right now, but when he starts rolling all over the football field, he makes it so tough on defensive tackles. Look at the energy Kenny Kennard wastes just making him commit himself. And if you do that about 2 or 3 times to a defensive lineman, it knocks their rush out. It allows you to get the ball off, get a little more time to throw it. And as far as effectiveness is concerned, I relate a lot of his effectiveness to the fact that he moves all over the field.
Stensrud might have jumped offside. We'll see if he was drawn off. Again is to Dornick, and he is chopped behind the line of scrimmage. On a 2nd and 10 play, Dornick goes wide. He was hit down hard by J.C. Wilson, the left corner, and Wilson's a little slow getting up after that one. He's not up. J.C. at 177 pounds, and Dornick about 215. See Stensrud come out of the blocks early.
You just see Zorn getting somebody to move a little bit. Generally, when a fella does move, it's a guy that hasn't played too long. In this case, it's Stensrud.
Offside. 67. First down.
Balance your count a little bit, and you get a lot of good breaks.
All right, Baltimore now in front of Miami, 10-3 in the first quarter at the Orange Bowl in Miami. The Jets have put points up. They trail New England 7-6 first quarter game, Shea Stadium in New York. Denver leading Cleveland at Cleveland 3-0 in the first quarter on a field goal. Now on 2nd down and 6. Seahawks go to the run from their 46-yard line, and the Oilers shut it down very quickly. Ted Washington, veteran linebacker from Mississippi Valley, number 59, came across. Dornick knocked out of bounds. It's going to bring up 3rd down and about 6. Atlanta's gone in front of Detroit, 7-3 in the first quarter at Atlanta. Washington still holding to the 7-0 lead over the Philadelphia Eagles on the Joe Theismann, Ricky Thompson touchdown pass in the first quarter. St. Louis in front of winless New Orleans at the Superdome, 7-0 first quarter.
And here we've got a little 3rd down and 3.
For Seattle from the Seahawks 48-yard line. Zorn takes a deep drop. He lets it rip. Way high. 2 men were covering Steve Largent. Vernon Perry, the strong safety, and the free safety Mike Reinfeldt were both right there with him. So Zorn and the offense come off the field now, and the punter's back out. Herman Weaver back in the game to punt now for Seattle. Seahawks lead this game 3-0 on a 32-yard field goal by Efren Herrera. 3:19 left to play now in the first quarter. Game moving along slowly, as both teams have been pitching a lot here. Stabler and Zorn. Roaches is standing back at his 11-yard line. Weaver drills it long. Roaches takes a look. He's going to return it. He has a problem if he does. He fumbles the ball. Somebody caught it in the air.
I think Seattle's got it.
Seattle's got it. So the Seahawks get a break at the 12-yard line. The Seahawks recover a Kyle Roach's fumble. Like it might have been Jack Tatum, John.
Yes, sir. And this was an excellent punt. It was one of those that got up in the air and started coming back toward the line of scrimmage. Roach has really misplayed it like a high pop fly. Rabel got in his...
Tatum has it, loses it. And then a Seahawk comes in and gets it, and Seattle has the ball down at the 10-yard line of Houston. We'll be back at the Astrodome with Seattle in the lead 3-0. The Seattle Seahawks have just recovered a fumbled punt by Kyle Roach. Here it is again.
We were taking a look at Bum Phillips, who was very concerned with the official's call, but I think the problem was Tim Smith, number 83. The man is trying to protect for him. Cornell Webster never got close enough to Roach's to interfere with his opportunity to catch the ball. It was just a bad communication between Smith and Roach's.
Now to give me the ball to the Houston Oilers, so apparently that was the ruling. The Oilers have the ball. So while we were away, the Seattle offense was out on the field. Now the officials rule that apparently Roach's did not have the proper room to catch the ball to make a play on it. It was not ruled a fumble. It was indeed ruled a possession for the Houston Oilers, so they have the ball, albeit deep in their own area. 1st and 10 was the last play from their 11-yard line. John?
That is a good break for Houston.
A big one because Seattle would be 1st and goal at the 10-yard line. Seattle leading the game 3-0 with 2:35 to play in the first quarter. Stabler goes to Earl Campbell. Wilson's out in front of him, and Campbell turns the corner, gets across the 15 to about the 16-yard line. Jacob Green, 79, that highly regarded rookie. So very fast. He runs with the wide receivers from time. Runs at 40 and as fast as most wide receivers.
Well, primarily, they have him as a pass rusher. They feel that he has really helped their offensive line or their defensive line surge. But if you've noticed throughout the first quarter, they've tried to run the ball to the right because they felt they could take advantage of Green. If you're that good a pass rusher, they figure you can't play the run that well. He has stuffed them time and time again.
Now it's 3rd down and a long 6 for Houston. Swing pass goes out. Billy White Shoes Johnson has it. He's weaving. He's looking for help. Johnson is run down from behind back at the 11-yard line. Tremendous play. Cornell Webster was through. Also on the play was 55, Michael Jackson.
You'd criticize anybody else taking that sort of course, trying to get a first down, but you can't do so with White Shoes Johnson. He's made these kind of plays throughout his 7 years. Here he goes. He's already back behind the line of scrimmage. If he gets rid of one more tackler, he's going to pick up the first down as he's got a wall out behind him, but Cornell Webster made a fine play.
So now the Oilers will have to punt, and Parsley's in his own end zone. 1 minute and 5 seconds left to play in the first quarter. The clock running. Seattle in the lead 3-0. The ball's hit downfield by Parsley. Lewis fair catches and fumbles the ball, gets his own, and he's down to the 42-yard line of Houston. Now for an update on everything going on around the NFL in this 5th weekend of play. Let's go to New York to NFL 80 and Bryant Gumbel.
Thank you, Don Criqui. At Miami's Orange Bowl, Bob Greasy is showing off the Bob Greasy arm of old. They say he can't go long anymore, but this completion was good for 50 yards to Joe Rosen, set up a Miami field goal. Still they're trailing 10-3 in the first. Back to you, Doug.
Thank you, Bryant. Here at the Houston Astrodome, it's 3-0. Seattle in the lead on an Efren Herrera field goal. And now the Seahawks have the ball back. They have it at the 43-yard line of the Houston Oilers. 57 seconds to play in the first quarter. Zorn at quarterback has Largent and McCollum on either flank. Play fake into Dorning. Zorn swings it out, and John Sawyer can't hold on. Country John, they call him. They say that John Sawyer is so far out in the country, he heads toward town to go hunting.
Yeah, well, he was so far open on that play, Don, that if he just held onto the ball, it's a sure 25 or 30-yard gain. They've had a few opportunities. They haven't capitalized on them. We mentioned early that we expect Houston to do a lot of blitzing against the Seahawks. They've done it on 4 or 5 occasions. Zorn has either not found the right receiver or not had the right play call. So you may see more and more of it. That time he had a potential 30, 35-yarder, though.
Sawyer held that one. He had a long way to go. Now it's 2nd down and 10 for the Seattle Seahawks, 43-yard line of Houston. And here is a timeout called by Jim Zorn. He wants to check something out over here on the sideline.
Yeah, he wants to know why they had all 11 men standing at the line of scrimmage. He did not have enough people offensively to pick up the blitz in that situation, so he called timeout.
Denver and Cleveland tied up on a pair of field goals at Cleveland. Fred Steinfort connected for the Denver Broncos. Cockcroft for Cleveland. Detroit trailing Atlanta 14-0 after Detroit went out in front 3-0. Atlanta scored twice now. The Redskins and the Eagles are now tied up at 7-all. Ron Jaworski just threw 51 yards to fullback Leroy Harris for the Eagles score to tie the game after Theismann connected for a score for the Redskins. And St. Louis out in front on 2 touchdown runs from 2 yards out by Wayne Morris. New Orleans with a problem.
I'm watching in the background Zorn talking to Sam Atkins. Atkins has a play for him.
Atkins can talk, I tell you.
Well, he can play a little bit too.
Hasn't had the chance yet. Bill Walsh, the coach of the 49ers, says to Jim Zorn, of all the players in the National Football League who are most valuable to their teams, he thinks Zorn is more valuable to Seattle than any other player is to any other team.
I agree with him because, you know, we talk about Earl Campbell and the importance that he has brought to Houston. I mean, it's been so tremendous over the years, but they have so many more people that can run the show in Houston. If Seattle doesn't have Jim Zorn, their game pretty much goes to a standstill offensively.
It is interesting, in the last 7 games, dating back to last season, the 2 games that Earl Campbell was fully healthy in, the Oilers lost. And in 5 where he was only at limited effectiveness, they did win. He's the great running back in the league, but of course there's a lot of great players in the team as good as the Houston Oilers. And now on a 2nd down and 10 carry, the Seahawks take the ball down inside the Houston 40, down to the 38-yard line. Dornink got ahead and was knocked down by 75, Jesse Baker. Hollywood Henderson's in there doing his thing, 53. Here he is.
Well, Holiday Henderson's been called High School Henderson, Holiday Henderson, Hollywood Henderson. One thing he can sure fly. This time he didn't get to the play in time. Whoops. He's creating action wherever he goes. Some of it good, some of it not so.
3rd down and 5 coming up for the Seahawks. 37-yard line of Houston. Seahawks lead the game late in the first quarter, 3-0. They go to the draw. Dornink busts ahead. He's going to be close to a 1st down. He had to get down to the 33, and he might have done it. Gun sounds. That ends the first quarter. And Dan Dornink is close enough to apparently where they're going to have to measure. So the first quarter comes to an end. The only points of the game so far, a 32-yard field goal by Efren Herrera. We'll be back at the Astrodome after this. With John Brodie, this is Don Criqui back at the Astrodome in Houston, Texas. The Oilers down 3-0 as we're ready now to open the 2nd quarter of play. Elsewhere on the NFL, Pittsburgh leads Minnesota 13-3. Denver and Cleveland tied up 3-all. New England leads the New York Jets 7-6. Baltimore leading Miami in the 2nd quarter 10-3. Atlanta 17-3 over Detroit in the 2nd quarter. There's the first quarter breakdown here at the Astrodome. The Oilers not getting it done with the passing game.
Well, what they're not able to do is get much of the football. Now, Seattle has controlled it offensively throughout the first quarter. Stabler has been able to do that to his opponents the previous 3 weeks. If you can keep the other team off the field, no matter how good their offense is, the score production is going to be rather low.
Jeff Moore and Jim Jodat are now the runners for Seattle. 4th down and less than a yard. Hand off to Jeff Moore. Going wide, turns the corner. He's got a 1st down and more as he busts inside the 30. And down to the 29-yard line. So he needed less than a yard. Ended up getting about 5.
Yep, and he would have been able to pick up 30 or 35 more had Bingham not made a pretty good play out by the sideline. You see Jodat's trying to find somebody to hit. He gets all the way to J.C. Wilson, the corner, before he can find anybody. Kicks him out. We mentioned if Bingham doesn't make a fine play laterally, he's gone.
The Oilers assessed Seattle as being a very tough opponent coming into the game, and the Seahawks have been that. Now they have 1st down, 29-yard line of Houston. Jim Zorn takes a deep drop. Now he's going to run it. That's the call play, and Zorn is so fast. Down he goes at the 22-yard line.
He's also smart, Don. He got down quick.
Got down quick, and he did it about 7 yards downfield.
Well, so many people ask you, why doesn't the quarterback take his head forward, use his shoulder pads to protect himself? Well, I'll tell you why. Because his shoulder pads are like hockey pads. They're very small, and the only thing you're going to break with your shoulder pad is your shoulder if you hit somebody with it. He gets down on the ground. Bingham had no chance to make a play.
So Jim Zorn calling his own number. The Oilers knew that was going to be coming, but they say it's so hard to defend, and Zorn on the keeper now gets 7 yards at 2nd and 3. Zorn goes back to the run. This time the Oilers stand it up. Jim Jodat ran the ball, but the Houston Oilers caught him, Curly Culp, in the game. Number 78 at middle guard, hit him head on. No gain.
It's been no picnic for Houston so far, Don, but another team that's playing away from home is putting it to New Orleans. St. Louis is 20-0 ahead in the second quarter with 8:42 to go. It's been a long season for Dick Nolan so far.
It's going to get longer. Steelers leading Minnesota 13-3 in the first quarter. Now Jim Zorn calls another timeout. With 12:57 to play in the first half, Zorn comes over for some counsel from the sidelines as he has a 3rd down and 3 play coming up when he comes back. On Saturday, October 18th at 4 o'clock Eastern Time, NBC Sports World returns live. It's a 10-round light heavyweight bout between undefeated Michael Spinks and Yaki Lopez. Then some of the greatest names in bowling go pin for pin in the legends of bowling. Live World Series reports all Saturday, October 18th at 4 o'clock Eastern Time, following the World Series here on NBC Sports. NBC's Sports World returns. So far, the Seahawks have been in command, John. They've had penetrations 3 times now deep. Only have come out with points on 1 occasion.
And they've got to make good on this one. Now, that's the second time that Jim Zorn has had to call timeout because the defense has confused him a little bit. You can see he's talking to Jack Patera, Howard Mudd, the offensive line coach. Up in the box is Jerry Rome, who's an outstanding offensive coordinator. Andy Williams works with this group, and offensively, they really get things done effectively. But on 2 occasions in 1 half, which is very rare, Zorn has been fooled. They've got to get something pretty quick, Don, because you don't keep knocking on the door in Houston, particularly in the Astrodome, that often. If they don't put some points on the board pretty soon, all these breaks will go for naught.
True that is, and Jim Zorn, who is a passing guy, has the team down close now at the 22-yard line, 3rd down and 3. That was actually the Houston Oilers, John, were going to call that timeout. Their defense wanted a timeout.
Well, and my information was a little suspect, but I take it back, Jim.
Jim Zorn, who passed for over 11,000 yards his first 4 years in the NFL. Only one quarterback has passed for more in his first 4 years. That was Joe Namath.
They're coming again.
3rd down and 3. Seattle with the ball at the 22-yard line of Houston. The Blue fans are drowning out Jim Zorn's signal calling.
This is what's really hard when you're playing away from home. Houston is trying to fool Zorn. They're trying to get into a blitz situation. Zorn was trying to call an audible. McCullum couldn't hear it. As a result, a good opportunity for Seattle goes down the drain because they can't get the ball off. The fans do help at home.
Do they? And the Oilers are especially tough here in the Astrodome. So Jim Zorn sets his team down in the huddle now. The ball at the 22-yard line of Houston. A 32-yard field goal by Efren Herrera. The only scoring so far in this game. It came in the first quarter. Seattle 3, Houston nothing. But the Seahawks challenging again. 3rd down and 3 coming up. The Oiler fans start up again. Here they come. Zorn takes a look into the end zone. McCullum's there. Touchdown, Seattle.
Came back with the same play, Don, the one he couldn't get off previously. Went back in the huddle. They got it communicated. Jack Tatum had no chance on McCullum. We mentioned that if they keep blitzing Seattle, they're going to get burned. That's exactly what happened. Zorn threw the ball the only place he had to throw it. Get it down the field. Let McCullum run under it. Once he got past Tatum, who was on him one-on-one, no more problems. And 6 points.
22-yard touchdown pass, a perfectly thrown ball. McCullum way beyond the defense. Makes his 5th touchdown reception of the season. And so Seattle takes command of this game, 9-0, looking for a 10th point, which they get. Efren Herrera is good on the extra point. So at this point in the game, the Oilers have a problem. The Seattle Seahawks, the visitor, who've been so tough on the road this year, winning both their previous road games, out in front 10-0. We'll return to the Astrodome after this. The Oilers now ready to receive. Carl Roches is back as the Seattle Seahawks have just scored on a 22-yard touchdown pass play. Jim Zorn to Sam McCullum, who had the defense blanked. They were nowhere in the picture. They were coming on a blitz, and Zorn read it and threw for a score.
They were coming on a blitz when Zorn got them re-huddled. When you give a quarterback an opportunity to re-huddle, you better change your defense because he's going to beat the one you had up there, and he did. If they ever needed a big play, if you're a Houston fan, it's now, because Roches has given them some good field position on special teams. They have to get something going because they're flat.
Oilers unable to connect on the big gainer so far. Here now is the kickoff by Efren Herrera. A spinner that Carl Roches fields at the 4. 10. 15. To the 21. He lost the ball again, and Seattle might have it. Seattle has the ball at the 20-yard line of Houston. Vic Miner ended up in the end zone with it, but he'll be down, they say, at the 20. Preliminary signal was that Seattle has the ball. Their offense certainly thinks so, John, because they're out in the field.
Well, they do have the ball, Don, and I think the official was surprised when Miner came up with it, or he wouldn't have blown the whistle because nobody did touch him. Let's take a look at Roches trying to make a big play, gets caught from behind by Miner, and then he picks the ball up. We don't get to see the rest of the play, but we do get to see the expression on Bum Phillips' face, and it's not a very happy one.
Carl Roches, a new bridegroom. He was married yesterday afternoon.
Sometimes it's hard to get in the end zone.
This ain't no honeymoon for Carl Roches. Seattle on 1st and 10 from the Oilers' 21-yard line, runs the ball right at the Oilers. Jim Jodat takes it ahead down inside the 15-yard line. He gained about 7. It'll be 2nd down and 3. Reinfeldt, the free safety for Houston, made the tackle. There is the scoring drive, the payoff, then the 22-yard throw into the end zone. Zorn to McCullum.
The 57 yards is I think, the telling thing. Seattle's had the ball in excellent field position. They've had 2 opportunities inside the 30. This is another turnover. 57 yards. If you can start all your drives from your own 43, they're not so tough to come by.
11:55 to play in the first half. 10-0 Seattle. Jordan runs and the Oilers knock it down. Curly Culp, a 285-pound middle guard, a smasher. Stripped the blocking and made the slug hit. The Durning goes down. It's going to be 3rd down and 4 coming up for Seattle.
We haven't seen an awful lot of Culp for one reason. They've been playing Kennard ahead of him. He got up when he got in there.
Pittsburgh in command of Minnesota, 13-3 in the second quarter. They're playing at Bloomington, Minnesota. The Steelers and the Oilers running atop the AFC Central. Baltimore continues to lead Miami on the Burt Jones touchdown pass to Roger Carr on the field goal, 10-3. Jim Zorn takes a look in the end zone. He lofts one down there for McCullum, overthrown. And a penalty marker's down, John, at the line of scrimmage.
Well, a holding call will put him out of field goal range.
That was a 3rd and 4 play.
That's why I'm saying, if it is a holding call, they may give him another chance.
A hold is the signal against the Seattle Seahawks with 11:04 to play in the first half. And Seattle in the lead 10-0.
I said it'll put him out of field goal range. It actually won't put him all the way out of the range, but it would make a field goal very difficult. They have elected to take the penalty. I think it's a wise choice.
Holding, number 76, offense, 3rd down.
After that last play, Sam McCullum had Jim Zorn aside and was talking to him about something, probably about getting open.
Well, it wasn't about the fact he was open, because he was covered by two Oilers down there in the end zone. That's why Zorn threw in the cheap seats.
Jesse Green comes wide to the left now. 2 wide receivers go to the right. There's actually 4 in the game. All 4 Seattle wide receivers in the game. Largent, Rabel, McCullum, and Green. Zorn on 3rd and 15. Throws. He gets a man. Jim Jodat powers his way down to the 15-yard line. That'll bring up 4th and about 4. So they get the penalty yardage back in some more, and we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
You're watching Seahawks football on KING-TV, Seattle.
With John Brodie, this is Don Criqui at the Astrodome, Houston, Texas, with the Seattle Seahawks an underdog, but a team that beat the Houston Oilers 34-14 a year ago. At Seattle have taken a 10-0 lead, and now Efren Herrera looking to extend that lead to 13-0. It'll be a 33-yard field goal attempt. It is up, and it is right on the money. So Efren Herrera delivers again, and the Seattle Seahawks, with 10:20 to play in the first half, have taken a 13-0 lead. We'll be back at the Astrodome in a moment.
Start your day with NFL 80, followed by a football doubleheader as the hard-charging Colts tangle with the surprising Buffalo Bills. Then see the San Diego Aerial Express attack arch-rival Oakland. Check local listings for the game in your area.
We're back at the Astrodome in Houston, Texas, where the Seattle Seahawks have taken a 13-0 lead and are now set to kick the ball off. Jeff Groff to your right, number 81. Carl Roach is number 85. Who fumbled the last one they kicked at him. Efren Herrera into the ball, drills it deep. It's coming to Roaches. At the 3, the 10, the 15. And Roaches, working awful hard for 170 pounds, gets it out close to the 20-yard line. Hollywood Henderson took a serious lick on this. Watch him.
They've been treating him rather rough. We noticed it earlier in the ball game. When they get you from where you can't see them, it's very hard to protect yourself.
Bushwhacked him.
At least he's getting to play.
Now the Oilers, who have to get something going, come out first and 10, just shy of their 20. Stabler at 20 now. Renfro comes in motion. Stabler play faking, looking long. There it is. Mike Barber's out there. Intercepted. Dave Brown intercepts for the Seattle Seahawks, and he's not done until he's inside the 35-yard line and down to the 30. So the Seahawks come up with another turnover.
That was a super defensive play by Brown. It was a first and 10 play action pass. The hardest thing in the world for a halfback to cover is something going with Earl Campbell coming up the middle. His tight end gets out clean. Brown picks him up. He's in a perfect position to make the play. Barber tried to make a great catch out of the play rather than bat it down, and it cost him a turnover. Stabler's back to throw. He's okay. Mike, it's your turn. You got to come up with the ball. Just you and Brown. The little man came up with it. The Oilers have only had it for 15 plays so far in the ball game.
Dave Brown now with 4 interceptions this season. Here is Zorn on the run, looking for more points. Inside the 30, he guns the ball, throws it out of bounds. Chased him out of the pocket. Zorn helps out his pursuer, Robert Brazil.
That's a twist. He's picking them up now, huh?
It's as close as he wants to get to Brazil.
He's tough to catch.
6'4", 240, Robert Brazil. The Seahawks capitalizing on turnovers, demonstrating a very diverse offense and putting up 13 points on the board. And while their defense now, as you're mentioning, John, has shut out the opposition through the last 6 quarters of play.
It isn't the breakdown defensively for the Oilers. It's the turnovers. It's the lack of offense. It's put their defense with its back up against the wall. And I really think if Seattle doesn't capitalize a little more before half, this ball game could go the other way coming out.
And Jeff Gore turns it around the corner, comes inside the 30, down to the 25-yard line on a 2nd and 10 play. He got ahead for 5. It'll be 3rd down and 5 now for the Seahawks, down at the 25-yard line of Houston. J.C. Wilson, the left corner, ran him down. Cleveland Browns have just put up a touchdown and have gone in front of the Denver Broncos 10-6 at Cleveland.
That's a big game for Denver. They've got to get on the win column.
Atlanta smashing Detroit. Atlanta, another unpredictable team. Bartkowski just threw to Alfred Jenkins for 43 yards and a touchdown. Atlanta scored in a block punt recovery. Recovery and a run by linebacker Buddy Curry. Defense doing it to Detroit. Lions went into that unbeaten. It's 3rd down and a short 5 now for the Seattle Seahawks. Zorn looks into the end zone. McCullum is there. Touchdown, Seattle. Man alive, Zorn and McCullum are tearing up the Oilers.
Well, they're catching the Oiler defensive backs one-on-one. And when you give a man both sides of the field to run in, a man like McCullum who's come into the slot position, he can work inside or outside. I don't care who the defensive back is, he's going to get trapped. Vernon Perry tried to make the play. They put him responsible for covering McCullum all over the field. I don't think there's anybody in the game can do it. There's no strong safety, certainly, that can cover a wide receiver like Sam McCullum. Nice throw, simple little pitch and catch game. Seattle leads 19-0. They're about to run the Oilers right out of Houston.
Easy money so far for Zorn and McCullum. Nothing to it as they have 2 scores to their credit, 2 touchdown throws. 9:35 to play in the first half, and the Seattle Seahawks, who came in as an underdog, in command of the football game, 20-0. We'll be back at the Houston Astrodome after this. Here in Houston, the Derek Dows haven't had a whole lot to dance about as the Houston Oilers are getting blasted in this game. But, John, I don't think you ever count a Stabler quarterback team out.
No, you don't. Let's take into account one thing. Since the score was 3-0, the Oilers have had the ball for 1 play. Now, that isn't enough to do anything offensively. I look for Stabler to get up, start firing the ball all over the field. And this ball game, as you've seen Stabler so many times, could end up a real barn burner.
Efren Herrera kicks off yet again. Carl Roaches approaches the ball, takes it at the 7. Penalty markers going down all over the field. Oilers are clipping. Oilers trying hard to break the big gainer to get back in this game are called for a clip. Mike Barber slams his helmet down. Leon Gray gets him off.
It's a little frustrating when you can't get in the ball game. When you do, the flags start going. They've got to maintain their composure, not lose it.
Big guy is hot. And so are the Seattle Seahawks. They lead 20-0. Zorn throwing twice to McCullum for touchdowns, both times in the end zone. Both times McCullum was waiting there for the ball.
And you're right. When you say waiting,
so the play comes back as the Oilers are called for a clip, or will be very shortly, on the return by Carl Roaches.
Been clipping against the receivers, face mask against the kicking team. The ball is first down here. First down.
Offsetting penalty. So put the ball in play, 1st and 10, where Roaches went down just short of the 20. It's at the 18-yard line. Big Mike Barber puts on his hat and goes back in the huddle. 1st and 10 now for Houston. Oilers trailing in the game 20-0. 9:24 to play in the first half. There's the last Seattle scoring drive. Mike Renfro comes wide to the right. White shoes Johnson off the left, and Stabler starting to pitch on 1st down. There's a strike down. Again, it's almost intercepted. Pete Simpson moving up on the ball, almost had another one. Dave Brown recovered not that long ago.
Hey, it looks as if the Seahawks are sitting around in the Oilers huddle because Simpson would have picked that off on the dead run. Remember, they picked one off.
John, we remind our viewers that on Thursday night, October 16th at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, it's Games People Play. You'll see various shapes and sizes hit the water in the World Cannonball Championships. Then Soupy Sales takes a look at custard pie throwing, something he's no stranger to. And a special look at the hottest thing on wheels, skateboard fever strikes, plus the BMX bicycle jump, where 18-year-old Jim Pratt attempts to jump a bicycle over 5 trucks. All Thursday, October 16th on Games People Play.
You know, and meanwhile, Seattle's got Houston guessing, trying to adjust. I think you're going to see that Stabler got caught for too much time because the Seahawks were going to blitz with 9 men. He didn't have enough to pick up. It'll be 2nd down and 15. Mentioned just a minute ago that although the Seahawks only
ball start, number 60.
Although the Seahawks only have 1 ball picked off, they could have had 3 at this time. Michael Jackson almost got one early, and Simpson had that one right in his hands.
Oilers have been a flat club, and Bum Phillips on the sidelines, hoping they'll break out of it now with a 2nd down and 15 play coming up. Stabler goes to pitch back. Earl Campbell runs with the ball and not very far. John Harris, one of the safeties, came up to make the tackle.
What's Seattle going to do? Become a defensive stalwart now? This is the 6th quarter that no one scored a point on them. Makes it pretty easy to win ball games when your defense is playing this way.
.8:50 to go in the first half. Last year, Seattle graded out 27th in the entire National Football League in defense. Gave up 372 points. They got a shutout going through 6 quarters, their last 6 quarters right now. Here's Stabler throwing, and it's caught by White Shoes Johnson. Beautifully done, coming back with the ball. There's a penalty marker down. Billy Johnson covered by Dave Brown, who has 1 interception, and White Shoes Johnson comes back at the ball, but catches it short of a first down. But we'll see what the penalty is.
Yeah, but that's going to be a big breakdown. It looks to me as if this play has gone against Seattle. It's a face mask.
Personal foul, automatic first down.
Don, instead of it being 4th down, necessitating a punt, it's going to be 1st down to keep a drive alive. We take a wide shot. Look at the left side of your screen. Johnson goes down, gets on Brown, comes back well, makes a fine catch, and Brown just got caught with his hand on Johnson's face mask. It wasn't intentional, but that's where it ended up. Because it wasn't intentional, they only got 5
Personal
yards.
foul, face mask against the defense. 1st down.
Defensive penalty resulting in a first down for Houston. That was a 3rd and 14 play. Completion yardage was short of the first down, but the Oilers get it on the penalty. Now Stabler takes a look. Brings it out. It's caught by Earl Campbell. But Campbell is run out of bounds by Jacob Green, who's right here from Houston, Kashmir High School. And Texas A&M. Jacob Green, the #1 draft choice of the Seattle Seahawks, number 79.
That time you saw Robert Hardy and Jacob Green both standing out there with Campbell as he caught the ball. That means everybody's alert. Everybody's doing a job a little more than they've been asked to. It's an uphill battle when a team's playing defense the way they are.
It has really been uphill for the Houston Oilers. 2nd down and 13. Stabler looks, stands in, fires in the flat. He goes to Richard Castor. Castor turning upfield is thrown back. John Harris, the free safety, came up for Seattle, made the play on big Richard Castor, who's 6'5" and 228 pounds and can take it the distance if he gets a break. He's one of the fastest players in the field.
I wouldn't be at all surprised if they have a go at moving the ball on the ground for 2 plays as we take a look at New England putting it to the Jets 20-6. 2nd quarter.
Jets 0-4, and one of their best players, we're told, was taken off the field on a stretcher. Fullback Clark Gaines, who scored their only touchdown. 3rd down and 4. Stabler draws, Earl Campbell runs, and the Oilers have a first down. Stabler goes to his fullback, and the big Rose from Tyler takes it ahead for 43 yards and a first down. Joe Norman, a little slow getting up for Seattle, one of the linebackers. Seattle's defense very much in concert. They really tied together defensively. After losing their first 2 games at the Kingdome, the Seahawks go on the road, have won their last 2, and they're winning this one 20-0.
Well, you know, they've been what's happened is they got run right out of the park defensively 2 games against San Diego and New England, but against Washington they stuffed them, and they're doing the same thing to Houston.
Stabler and the Oilers, 1st and 10 to 42-yard line. Stabler stands in, home run ball, going for it is White Shoes Johnson. Broke it up. White Shoes had a play on it. Dave Brown almost intercepted a 2nd time in this game.
Okay, they're getting the situations that Seattle has been. The difference is the wide receiver did not beat Dave Brown. Got him in a one-on-one. We watched Mo Towns on Jacob Green. Stabler gets plenty of time to throw it. Mo Towns does his part. Let's take a look at Stabler now. You get enough time, you get to step up, you fire the ball down the field in a one-on-one coverage. You're hoping your wide receiver beats the defensive corner. Brown was too tough.
Dave Brown with one-on-one coverage breaks the play up with 6:30 left to play in the first half. The Oilers now go second down and 10 from their 42. Stabler stands in, looks, guns the ball beautifully. Jeff Crow cutting back, gets ahead for a gain of about 6 yards. Out to the 49-yard line. Bring up third down and about 3. Keith Simpson was on the tackle, number 42 for the Seahawks. Big group here from Alaska following the Seahawks from Cordova, Alaska. They went to the game last week in Washington, went over to the Bahamas for a little while, came to Houston, going to ease on into Las Vegas and head back to Cordova. Good trip so far.
You bet. Seattle's got the whole Northwest excited, Don. It's exciting football, I know, because I spend a lot of time up in the Hazel Lake area and around Spokane. They've just got everybody excited.
They put the football team together the right way. Here's a pitch. It's complete to Mike Renfro for a first down. As Renfro is down to the 41-yard line. A gain of 9 yards on the play and a first down for the Oilers. Mike Renfro, as every Houston fan knows, maybe all the Seattle ones don't, is the son of the great Cleveland Brown flanker of years ago, Ray Renfro. Mike from Texas Christian, now in his third year with the Oilers. Very elusive wide receiver. Pittsburgh continues to lead Minnesota, 13-3. Dick Enberg and Merlin Olsen covering that game at Bloomington, Minnesota. First and 10 now for the Oilers, 41-yard line of Seattle. Oilers trying to get off the schneid. They've got free ball. Incomplete. Nobody knew where that was except Stabler, and he was just hoping that big guy didn't see it.
Keith Butler knew where it was, and he almost got to it.
Yeah, he did. Baltimore continues to lead Miami at the Orange Bowl, 10-3. New England has now gone in front of the New York Jets, 20-6. Steve Nelson and Mike Haynes combined on a blocked field goal and ended up running it in for a touchdown. Haynes picked it up, lateral to Nelson, who scored.
Safety blitz.
Stabler, the left-handed dart thrower, again throws a strike to Mike Renfro inside the Seattle coverage. And the clock continues to wind down. 4:45 to play. Jacob Green says they're holding me, Coach.
If there's a man that's tough to get on a safety blitz, I'd say it has to be Stabler. You can see Simpson coming in, number 42, trying to make the play. If you don't get to the quarterback and you're in a safety blitz, you have no linebacker help underneath, and it's pretty just pitch and catch.
So it's going to be third down and 2 coming up now. 3rd and 2 for the Houston Oilers, 34-yard line of Seattle. Seahawks in the lead, 20-0, 4:11 to play in the first half.
The big man will get this one.
Stabler fakes, throws, he's got down to the tight end. Mike Barber fights his way down to the 25-yard line. He has another first down for Houston. As the Oilers down 20-0 come out firing on this drive and make the big plays.
That's 2 plays in a row, Don, where you see why a quarterback is great. Number 1, he turns the safety blitz into an 8-yard pickup. Number 2, that time he should have been flat on his back. He made a great play to Barber on a play that was perfectly covered.
Stabler was hit hard, and he's up and ready to go again now. The clock running, 3:24 to play in the first half. Houston on its best drive of the day, and they need it badly. Stabler has hit 12 of 19 for 52 yards. Looking again, Ken Stabler stands in, throws it, standing in the air. It's intercepted by Seattle. The ball is intercepted. Who is that? Michael Jackson gets the ball. This quick linebacker from Washington. As for a second time, a Stabler pass is slapped high in the air. This time the Seahawks get it.
I don't know if we'll be able to determine who got his hand on the ball, but in the middle there's awfully good surge. Hardy, Tuiasosopo, both of them are making fine surge up the middle. This time it hit somebody on the hand.
Boy, that
Jackson gets up to take it away.
Young man who intercepted for the Huskies to save a Rose Bowl win over the University of Michigan a few years ago, makes a big play for Seattle. We're set to go again at the Houston Astrodome. Don Criqui with John Brodie. The Seattle Seahawks moving smartly with 2 interceptions now and a 20-0 lead. They've stopped an Oiler drive. First and 10, Zorn hands up. Jeff Moore turns wide. He's thrown down as as it looks like Seattle will be content now to run this first half clock out and go to the locker room with their first half winnings, a 20-0 lead.
Well, they might be, Don, but I've never seen them satisfied in my life. I've seen them throwing on 4th down, 4th and 1 long gainers, and it's against the personality traits of the Seahawks. I do think they'd like to run it down the field rather than throw it at this time. Their offensive line has had pretty good surge at the point of attack all afternoon. They're really in control.
Second down and 9. Zorn throws and gets it out to Jim Jodat, who beats the defense and gets out to the 49-yard line. And he's got a first down. So Jim Zorn does come firing. Vernon Perry finally knocks Jodat down.
Hard for me to believe, Don, that the Rams would allow this man to get out of Los Angeles. Detroit is still 24-3 down to Atlanta.
Miami and Baltimore tied up 10-10. Philadelphia leads Washington 21-7 at the moment. St. Louis routing New Orleans 27-0, and here at the Astrodome at Seattle 20. Houston nothing. We'll be back in a moment. Washington's got it going at Philadelphia right now. I don't know if that's right. We have Philadelphia on one scoreboard leading 21-7. You better check that one for you, sports fan.
Maybe they're both winning.
Let's go, Seahawks!
Right now, the University of Texas at El Paso marching band. The Marching Miners are filing out, getting set to perform at halftime with 2 minutes to go in the first half. The Seattle Seahawks in command of this game with great defense, and Jim Zorn superb passing. Zorn fires, and he's got a man wide open downfield inside the 30-yard line as the man who's been in the end zone twice with the ball today, Sam McCullum. Another first down for Seattle.
And we see a real problem. Looks like Elvin Bethea is down on the field at the 32-yard line. 13-year veteran, has been playing great football. At one time, I thought he was the best defensive end in the game. Certainly hit the hardest if you were a quarterback.
You remember going down to this very Astro
I sure have.
Under Elvin.
But I'll tell you, when you have to run as far as you have to run to catch Jim Zorn, you don't get him down very often.
He's got to wear out a defense by game's end. It's like we said about Tarkinen. Chase him all day, finally you start to wear out. He doesn't seem to. Randy Gradishar intercepted a pass at Cleveland, returned it 93 yards for a touchdown, and Denver leads the Browns 13-10 in the second quarter. McCullum's caught 3 today for 67 yards and 2 touchdowns.
And all 3 times he was wide open.
He was.
What you do when you find a receiver that has the speed of a McCullum, when you see him one-on-one, no matter what you have called in the huddle, you come to him. Zorn has come to him on the 3 occasions where he's been open, and he's hit him perfectly. Good play selection, good organization. Got to give Seattle the credit.
Seattle has played a superb game. NBC brought it to a television first. The spectacular plays, the memorable moments. The World Series is back where it belongs beginning Tuesday, October 14th in prime time. The 1980 World Series, all here on NBC Sports. Who's going to be in that World Series? They're still fighting it out. The Astros out in Los Angeles, trying to end that in the National League West. The Phillies did yesterday on a Mike Schmidt home run in the East. They're in the playoffs, as are the Yankees in Kansas City. Now Zorn and Seattle's offense standing with the ball, 29-yard line of Houston, first down and 10. 1:49 to play in the first half. Largent's left. McCullum in the slot to the left.
He's one-on-one, too. If they can get to him, they will.
Home run ball. Rabel going for the football, can't get to it. J.C. Wilson was covering. And the clock is stopped with 1:43 to play in the first half. That is the correct score. The Philadelphia Eagles are leading Washington 21-7 at the half.
Boy, they're tough to stop offensively. They just blew people out of the ballpark the first 3 weeks. Had a little slowdown last week. Looks like they're back on the track.
It's awful tough to keep that pace up. Detroit, a winner of 4 straight games, getting blasted 31-3. New Orleans looking toward an 0-5 start, down 27-0 to St. Louis. Seahawks go to the run, and not very effectively. Jeff Moore cutting back, tried to turn upfield, is knocked down to the 33-yard line. So that will bring up long yardage for the Seahawks. The ball will be spotted at the Houston 33-yard line. And the clock runs with 1:26 left to go in the first half.
They need a play down of some 8 yards to be in good field goal position. I look for Zorn to go back. You know, if you can get a field goal right now, it would necessitate 3 touchdowns and a field goal to catch them, and that's a pretty tough uphill battle.
Here's Zorn on 3rd and 14, looking long into the end zone. Going for the ball is Largent, and wisely, Stemrick short arms the ball.
I don't know why he didn't catch it. You know, it's 3rd down, not 4th down.
I think he was thinking maybe it was 4th. They come out to the 20. The line of scrimmage was the 34, but they still have another down.
Well, you know, that's the kind of mistake that if they still could kick a field goal. They're sending their field goal team out, but you can see Stemrick's got the ball all the way. All of a sudden, he decides, file this. He'd like to have it over.
Efren Herrera, who's having some season, ready to try a field goal now. He has 2 already today. This will be a long one from 50 yards. He's got the range.
He's got it.
Efren Herrera delivers again from 32 yards, from 33, and now from 50. And the Seahawks extend their lead to an amazing 23-0 with 56 seconds to play in the first half. These guys might want to play them all on the road.
They just come to play no matter where they go. It's been one of the more lackluster productions I've seen in the Astrodome since I've been watching football the last 6 years. I don't think it will stay this way because the players for the Oilers are just not the kind that let down that long. But I don't see any signs of improvement.
Our producer, Terry Ewert, informs us that Elvin Bethea of the Houston Oilers has a sprained collarbone. So whether or not he'll return, we'll find out. Our director today for NBC is Barry Stoddard. As we have 56 seconds left to play in the first half of the Astrodome, this is Don Criqui with John Brodie. Kyle Roaches has been getting a ton of return work today. You don't like to lead the lead in kickoffs because you've been giving up a lot of touchdowns if you do.
I can tell you who the 2 all-time leading ground gainers for kickoff returns are. Abe Woodson and Joe Arenas. They both played for San Francisco. We got to see a lot of them.
Now Efren Herrera is set to kick it off. He's been doing that a lot as the Seahawks are in the lead 23-0. It's a high spinner down to Roaches at the 6. Roaches is thrown down at the 14 after an 8-yard return. A penalty marker comes in on the play, and we could have a clip against Houston. Jim Jodat, who not only runs some scrimmage, he also comes down and makes tackles on special teams, made the play. Signal here from the Seattle to their benches that it's going to go against the Oilers.
Hey, inside the 10 is not an ideal situation with 50 seconds left to play. I expect they'll run the clock out, go in at halftime and try to reorganize. 6 quarters in a row, Seattle's been...
We ain't clear on number 57 receiving team. First down.
Next Sunday on NBC Sports, NFL 80 continues. Join Bryant Gumbel for an up-to-the-minute look at all the news, scores, and highlights, plus a special feature on violence in sports. That's all next Sunday on NFL 80. Check your local listings for the game and time in your area. There's some of the games you'll see next Sunday on NBC. Ronnie Coleman runs the ball for the Houston Oilers, and not very far, in a 1st and 10 play from the 7-yard line. Oilers had one good drive down the field not that long ago, and then a Stabler pass was blocked at the line of scrimmage high in the air. Linebacker Michael Jackson intercepted. Dave Brown intercepted Stabler earlier, and the Houston Oilers are down 23-0. Denver and Cleveland in a 13-13 tie as Don Cockcroft just hit a 44-yard field goal to bring the Browns into a tie. Handoff goes to Rob Carpenter on 2nd down and 6 from the 13-yard line. Carpenter takes it out to the 15. And the Oilers are going to let the clock run out, as they've got to go into the locker room and regroup, and the Seattle Seahawks came in here smoking. Seattle, with superb play through the first 2 quarters on offense and particularly on defense, takes command of this game 23-0. So it's Jim Zorn throwing for 2 touchdowns, both to Sam McCullum, and Efren Herrera hitting 3 field goals. It's 23. Hawks lead the Houston Oilers 23-0. John Brodie, how do you assess all this?
I don't know how you start. I mean, Earl Campbell has not been used very much. Six carries for 24 yards. That's not the personality of the Houston Oilers, but really the problem has been getting the ball to do something with it. Now, Stabler hit 12 of 20. Most of it was late in the second quarter. They didn't get the ball enough to really find out what they can do, which is going to make it that much tougher in the second half. On the other hand, Seattle has played 6 quarters in a row of scoreless defense. They're to be commended. I mean, I knew how exciting Jim Zorn and his group was. I didn't know their defense had come so far.
They've really come far. In fact, they've held Earl Campbell to minus yardage so far. Want to look at a great football play? Watch Jim Zorn and Sam McCullum in action here in the second quarter, as this was one of their 2 touchdown combinations.
Well, whenever you find a man like Sam McCullum one-on-one with any defensive back, you would like to come to him. Now, they have him inside in a slot position where he could go toward the post or to the corner. He can do whatever he wants on the defensive back. In this case, I believe one of those was against Vernon Perry. The other was against Jack Tatum. Neither of these individuals had any case.
And so the Seattle Seahawks come out 23-0 in the lead. What does Houston do to come back in? They've got to start pumping all over the field.
Well, I know Kenny Stabler so well that I have a feeling, he says, folks, this isn't time to get concerned about a game plan. This is the time to throw something at the wall and hope it sticks. And he's got a number of tricks. I don't think you'll see many fancy screens, play-action passes. I think you'll see him go back and fire the ball 25, 30 times, get a few breaks, and they'll get on the scoreboard. The ball game isn't over, but only because they're playing at home. They're also playing a team that's been playing 6 quarters of scoreless football. I don't know how they're going to get back. I'm glad it's not my problem, Don.
Well, we'll find out in a moment. There's the first half point breakdown. We should point out we're given some misinformation. Earl Campbell is actually averaging 4.3 yards a carry. He's not been held to minus yardage. He's gained 26 yards. But overall, the Houston Oilers have not been able to run the ball with any consistency against this Seattle defense, John. As you pointed out, has a 6-quarter streak of shutout football going.
Well, and you have to credit them, because I had the feeling that the Oilers didn't have the ball enough to do much with it. But when you take a look at the stats, they're really pretty even as far as time of possession is concerned. And actually, the Oilers had it for 16 minutes as opposed to 13 for the Seahawks. But where they had it was the indicative thing. The Seahawks had the ball in positions where they could do something with it, and the Oilers didn't.
Well, we're set to go now. We'll see what Mr. Stabler and the Houston Oilers can do, as the Seahawks will be kicking off now to start the third quarter. In the first quarter, Ken Stabler was throwing the ball a lot, put it up 20 times, completed 12, but for only 48 yards, and of course had the 2 intercepted, one by Dave Brown, one by Michael Jackson. Jim Zorn, on the other hand, threw 16 times, completed 7 for 133 yards and 2 touchdowns, none intercepted. McCullum having a great day, 4 receptions for 80 yards, 2 for touchdowns. Largent's caught 1 for 32, Jodat 2 for 21.
Don, I think that when you take a look at Zorn's statistics, they're very misleading. 7 for 16 is a quarterback that's not having a good day. Except in his case, it's not so, because he's picked the defense apart when they've given him the opportunity. He's been patient, he's thrown the ball away when he's had to, and he's been effective when he was given an opportunity.
Green Bay leading Cincinnati 14-6 in the second quarter. Now Efren Herrera approaching the football, hits it very high, a spinning kickoff that Kyle Roaches will field at the 3-yard line. Here comes Roaches to the 10, to the 15, and to the 20. Kyle Roaches has the channel, and Roaches is finally thrown down at the 26-yard line. Here comes Mojo to get the kicking team.
Watch old Mojo. He used to have another part to his act. When he got to the sideline, he'd spike it, but I think he refrained from doing that now because somebody almost got hurt once.
Out of the game. He doesn't have to do that.
Mojo goes out there and gets it. Jim Jodat was again down to make the tackle for Seattle, covering the kick. And so, after a 23-yard return by Carl Roaches, the Oilers go on offense 1st and 10 at their 27. Taylor throws, and he has a strike, but the ball is lost. Going to Mike Renfro, he drilled the ball into the 39-yard line. It would have been good for a 12-yard gain, but Renfro lost the ball when he went down.
Would have been a fine catch, but I don't think it's the kind of throw that's vintage Stabler. He had a little more room to work with than he actually used. He threw it a little bit too low for Mike, and when you find a man open, he very seldom misses him.
Ken Stabler with over 72% completions in his first 4 games, over 80% in his last 3 games. The Seattle defense has defended against him well. Stabler throws and completes it. This one is thrown out for Ronnie Coleman. It's good for a first down. On a 2nd and 10 play, the Oilers get ahead for 13 yards and a first down.
You'll notice, Don, that Coleman wasn't doing a lot of playing in the first half because they didn't do a lot of throwing. We see Jacob Green just running over the top of Mo Towns, puts a little pressure on Stabler, but he still hangs in there, puts the ball exactly where it should be thrown. You were mentioning that Stabler's over 80% in the last 3 games. People don't really care about the last 3 games. It's what have you done for me lately? That lately is only the last 2 quarters. They've got to get something going again.
They just got 13 yards. They have a first down at the 40. Stabler throws in the flat. Too much on it for Mike Barber. That'll bring up 2nd down and 10 for the Oilers from their 39. And the Snake. In his 11th year from Alabama, good enough as a baseball pitcher for the Tide to be drafted by a major league team. Most accurate passer in NFL history, a career percentage of 60%.
That's pretty good if you don't have defensive backs in your way.
And a great play faker. They say one of his great attributes is the ability to fake and freeze those linebackers before he throws. Make a handoff. It's 2nd down and 10 now. Handoff goes, and running with the ball is Rob Carpenter, and he doesn't get much. On 2nd and 10, he got only a yard. Will be cleared 9 now. Manny Tuiasosopo, number 74, the big defensive tackle from UCLA. The Seahawks' number 1 draft choice in '79 was on the stop.
Hey, they've tried a few draws, they've tried a few screens, and they've thrown the ball quite a bit, but they haven't fooled Seattle's defense one time on a screen or a draw. And that's just good defense.
Third about 10. It's intercepted for a 3rd time. Picking the ball off is Vic Miner, the 5th defensive back in the game for Seattle. And the Seahawks have intercepted Stabler 3 times. And the Seahawks have the ball back at the 45-yard line of Houston.
Another great defensive play.
Boy, they've had some.
Now they're blitzing Stabler. He's got to come off to a hot receiver. You can see the Seahawks are playing down and distance perfectly. Stabler goes with Johnson the whole way. But Johnson or Barber never did read the play. You throw to a man when his back is turned. It's part the receiver's fault for not seeing it, but the quarterback's for throwing it.
So the Oilers give it up again on the interception, and the Seahawks have the ball for the first time in the 3rd quarter. Zorn looks left, throws right, goes to his tight end Sawyer, and he's down inside the 40-yard line. John Country Sawyer takes it down to the 38-yard line, a gain on the play of about 7. Stemrick ran him out of bounds.
Talking to Howard Mudd, the line coach, said we almost had John Sawyer talking like a Yankee living out there in the Northwest, but since he's been to Houston the last 2 days, he's reverted back.
To retrain him. Jim Zorn having a very, very effective day. He's been throwing deep and he's been hitting deep. On 2nd and 4, they go to the run, and Dan Durning takes the ball inside the 35-yard line and down to the 32. He gets ahead for 6 yards and a first down. Bingham and Wilson were on the stop for the Oilers.
Not soon enough, as Bob Newton and Steve August just kind of burrowed a hole in there. Their offensive lines played exceptionally well, giving Zorn plenty of time to throw, moving the defense off at the point of attack.
First and 10 for Seattle, 33-yard line. The Houston Oilers. They again go to the run. This time it's Jim Jodat taking it right up the middle. Robert Brazil, the all-pro linebacker, made the knockdown for Houston. But the Seahawks with a 23-0 lead, powering the ball now at Houston.
Looks like they're running it better than they did before they went in at halftime.
They really are coming off the ball. Talking to Jim Zorn before the game, he said that's the most improved area of our football team is the offensive line. It's young, but it's really together. And they're really coming off the ball. Seahawks have lost a lot of great runners. Jim Jodat. Last year they lost David Sims. Al Hunter went out this year, ankle surgery. He'll be back, though, shortly. And, of course, the best runner in Seattle history, Sherman Smith, is out for the season with a knee injury. And now Jodat comes in and takes up the slack and plays great football.
Well, you know how good their offensive line is blocking, and they're getting good help from the back. As we see, Dornak is one-on-one with Robert Brazil. Usually you hear an awful lot about Robert Brazil before the third quarter of any football game. He's been in on very few plays. They've really kind of nullified him.
Yeah, we haven't called his number much. They've done another job on him. 11:13 to play in the third quarter. Third down and 3. Zorn on the run. Throws it. And a nicely done defensive job by free safety Mike Reinfeld, who came up to make the hit on Jim Jodat. Play is stopped short of the first down, so that brings up fourth down, and Efren Herrera, who's been perfect in 3 tries, from 32 yards, from 33, and from 50. 3 field goals. He's 7 for 8 kicking field goals this season. He's out there now to try again. Jim Zorn, the holder, at the 34-yard line, a 44-yard attempt. Both place kickers in this game. We haven't seen Fritsch out there. And Herrera came from the Dallas Cowboy organization. So did Jim Zorn. Here is the kick, downfield, up, and again, Efren Herrera is right there. Apparently the Seahawks like this closed environment. They're used to playing with a roof overhead of the Kingdome, and they had one here at the Astrodome. They feel like they're at home. They're tearing it up 26-0. (26-0) Seattle, as Efren Herrera's hit a 4th field goal of this day, 44 yards away, and now he's set to kick off. Kyle Roaches has had the ball more than anybody on the Houston Oilers team other than quarterback Ken Stabler. He's ready to return another kickoff. The squibber goes into the end zone and out of it. It'll come out to the 21st and 10. So with 10:18 to play in the third quarter, the Oilers have a big problem, and so does one of the great defensive ends in the league for a long time, Elvin Bethea, who we were told injured his collarbone in the second quarter.
John, that's one of the few times that Elvin Bethea has ever had to leave the game because of injury. He's been one of the most durable players in the history of the Oilers. You know, I think right now the Oilers are getting beat on special teams as well as they are offensively and defensively, because Roaches has not been able to get the ball up past the 25-yard line, and another occasion of him getting it at the 20.
Dislocated collarbone is the prognosis or the diagnosis, and he'll not be back today. Elvin Bethea. Right now, we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
You're watching Seahawks football on KING-TV, Seattle.
Kenny Stabler in the midst of an outstanding season, but not today, as the Seattle defense has come up and intercepted him 3 times, and Seattle's offense putting points up at just about every opportunity. Leading this game 26-0. The Seahawks led at the end of the first half 23-0. Now on 2nd and 10, Stabler takes a look deep. Good coverage. He makes a connection now to Coleman, but it's short of the first down. The knockdown at the 25-yard line will leave the Oilers about 4 yards short of a first down. Vic Miner, a 5th defensive back, came up on Ronnie Coleman.
You know, when the Oilers are throwing the ball, Ronnie Coleman is an excellent halfback, and he's an excellent pattern runner. He'll be in the ball game when they have to throw it. They realize they've got to do something. Makes a pretty good move. But again, Vic Miner plays the ball well, gives him 6 or 7 yards, and that's not really an effective play offensively.
It was short of the first down. Now it's going to be 3rd where they had the ball spotted. It'll be about 5. Stabler, wing back set to the right. Makes the draw to Campbell, throws downfield. Great defensive play by Dave Brown. Came over the top and knocked it away from White Shoes Johnson. Dave Brown, number 22, was the #1 draft choice of the Pittsburgh Steelers out of Michigan. Went to Seattle, though, in the allocation draft, and he's been a star there ever since.
Some days are tough and others are impossible. Stabler's got the man. He's got linebackers spread out. He's got nothing but Billy White Shoes Johnson and himself. Dave Brown comes over the top of Johnson and makes a fine play. Seattle is on top of the ball game in every defensive department. You can't do any better than that.
And Cliff Parsley will have to punt the ball back now to Seattle. Parsley standing back at his 10-yard line. Vic Miner is back deep to return. Will Lewis back. Also here's Lewis getting under it. Lewis will feel it at the 28. Loses it. Free ball. Houston has it. The Oilers have the ball. Carter Hartwig is down on the play, and the Houston Oilers get the ball back on a fumble punt. Jeff Groth was also there.
The Oilers need more than one good break, Don, because there aren't any 27-point plays behind 26-0. The one thing they do have going for them is they've got 24 minutes of playing time left. See, Rabel tries to make a play on a ball that was fumbled by Lewis. Can't get to it. Groth came in and took the ball right away from him. This is the best field position that the Oilers have had, but it's the first time the fans have had a chance to cheer.
But still, the Oilers have a shutout going against them. They've not put a point up. Stabler with 1st and 10 goes to Earl Campbell. Campbell powers his way down to the 26-yard line. He gained 5. Julius Sosopo, 74, made the stop for the Seattle Seahawks along with Bill Gregory. 8:55 to go in the third quarter. Seattle 26, Oilers nothing. Pittsburgh leading Minnesota 23-3. Green Bay leading Cincinnati 14-6. Cleveland and Denver tied up 13-all. New England leads the Jets 21-6 third quarter. Third quarter, Miami over Baltimore 17-10. On 2nd and 5, the Oilers again power the football with Earl Campbell carrying it. Right at the Seattle defense, he takes it down close to the 22.
The big thing, Don, from an Oilers standpoint, is that when you get the ball in the other team's territory and you've still got 24 minutes to play, you've got enough time to let your big horse, a man who's led the National Football League 2 years in a row, run with the football. It gives the offensive line some feeling of doing something, and really it picks up some yards. The personality has been over the years. Earl Campbell up the middle, he'll break something. They've got to give him an opportunity to do that, and then Stabler can do his thing.
Earl Campbell, who gained over 3,100 yards his first 2 years in the league. And here he goes. Campbell turns the corner and almost took it in. Knocked down at the 15-yard line by the strong safety Keith Simpson. That was it. If Campbell had not gotten by Simpson, he'd have gone the distance.
And it looked to me as if he was by him.
He's so fast for being big.
Good block at the point of attack. You see Beeson comes in and doesn't get a chance to get to the play. Campbell makes a fine move to pick up 7 or 8 yards. It looks like Michael Jackson might be hurt on the field.
Earl Campbell's gained 41 yards in 10 carries as the Oilers now have their deepest penetration. We'll be back in a moment. Michael Jackson's up, and he walked off under his own power. Be attended to now. Apparently twisted an ankle. He's played a superb game for Seattle. Has an interception. But right now, the Oilers are challenging, and they need to get into the end zone. Trailing 26-0 in the third quarter. Stabler on 1st and 10, hands off the field. Earl Campbell is way behind a great offensive line and starting to open the holes now, gets down to the 10. Leon Gray, 74. Bob Young, the longtime St. Louis Cardinal, 63 on the left side. Karl Mock, the center. Ed Fisher and Morris Towns on the right side as Earl Campbell gets 7 more yards on that carry. Be second down to long 3.
This is the first time, Don, that you've been able to notice Leon Gray and Bob Young and Mock, Fisher, and Towns moving people off the line of scrimmage.
6:55 to play third quarter. On second down, Campbell takes a look, and there's nothing there. Earl Campbell dipped in, tried to go wide, and Dave Brown again made the play for Seattle. Dave Brown, who's started every game that the Seattle franchise has played, 65th game. Two interceptions last week against the Redskins, another one today for Dave Brown, 6-year veteran from Michigan. Seattle is a remarkable success story as expansion teams go. They started out with 2 wins in 76, 5 wins in 77. 78, they went 9-7 in what might be the toughest division in the league if the AFC Central isn't the AFC West. 9-7 again last year. Stabler takes a look on 3rd down. He has a lot of time. He throws into the end zone. Free ball. It is almost intercepted. It goes incomplete. Another one bites the dust in the end zone, and the football goes down. No one in possession.
All right, Stabler's primary receivers are covered. He has no chance to get the ball in there. He's trying to wait as long as he can, see if he can't get Renfro coming all the way across the field, make a fine play and make something good out of a bad situation. He tries to go to Tim Wilson when none of his wide receivers are open, almost comes up with an interception. It's 4th down and 6. I don't think they're going to be trying any field goals.
Efren Herrera has a team record with 4 in this game. Fourth down and 6 now for Houston.
They're coming.
Penalty markers down. The play is whistled dead. Stabler had 3 people running patterns into the end zone. White Shoes Johnson, Renfro, and one of his running backs, Ronnie Coleman.
He got somebody running him a little too early.
Yep. What do you do now, John? Still go for it from scrimmage?
You bet. I'll tell you, they can go at 3 points a clip. They'd have to get down here 8 times or 9 times.
False start, number 76, offense.
Right tackle Morris Towns left early.
They're trying to do anything they can to get back in the game. They're out of it. It's no time to be strategic.
Seattle leads at 26-0. Led at the half 23-0. Stabler on 4th and 10. Takes a look. Throws. And it's tipped away. Keith Simpson got a hand on the ball. He was going to Mike Renfro running a post pattern. And Simpson, very quick, strong safety from Memphis State. In his 3rd year, came across to break the play out. Denver's taken a 16-13 lead over Cleveland on Fred Steinforth's 41-yard field goal in the 3rd quarter. And here at Houston, the Oilers again come up short. No points as Seattle's in command of this game, 26-0.
There's one team that plays for keeps. It's a big...
Back at Houston, the Derek Dow's. Not a whole lot to cheer about for them or the sold-out Astrodome following of the Houston Oilers as the Oilers are down 26-0 with 5:57 to play in the 3rd quarter. Handoff goes, Jordan carries, runs the ball out to the 20-yard line. Other scores coming in from around the NFL, and we'll look at some right now. Down in Miami, Baltimore has scored and has tied up the game 17-17 with the Dolphins. Burt Jones just threw 1 yard to running back Curtis Dickey from Texas A&M. Number 1 draft choice of the Colts. They're tied up 17-all. Denver leading on a Fred Steinfort field goal from 41 yards out, 16-13 over the Browns. At halftime, Atlanta routing previously unbeaten Detroit 34-0. New England's leading the New York Jets 21-6. Now Jim Zorn comes over. We're going to take a break in the action here at the Astrodome with Seattle still in the lead 26-0. And the Seahawks will have the ball when we come back. John Brodie, this is Don Criqui back at the Astrodome in Houston. The Seahawks have the ball on a 26-0 lead with 5:14 to play in the 3rd quarter. Jim Zorn at quarterback. 2nd down and 5 play coming up. All the 21-yard line of Seattle. Zorn takes his time, throws it out, hits a running back. Jeff Moore has the ball. And Moore goes out to the 30, and he has a 1st down for the Seahawks.
Seattle's offensive line, Don, has been winning at the point of attack all day long, both throw-wise and run-wise. You can see August Newton, both of them, working in perfect coordination, giving Zorn plenty of time. He's allowing Jeff Moore to kind of slip out in between the seam. When you get this much time, you can throw these little bitty delay passes, and everything's working pretty. He also caught Houston very much down.
Jim Zorn has hit 10 of 20 throws for 148 yards and the 2 touchdowns in the first half to McCullum. 1st and 10 Oilers. They go to the run from their 30-yard line. Don't get much. Out for a couple, maybe 3 yards with Jim Jodak. Andy Doris, number 69, was the first to meet the runner. More scores rolling on in. New England now leading the Jets 21-6 in the fourth quarter as Matt Cavanaugh has come into the game, thrown a 37-yard touchdown pass for New England to Harold Jackson. Patriots looking to extend their record to 4-1. On a draw play, they go to Jeff Moore, and he eludes a couple of tacklers, turns wide, and look at Jeff Moore go to work. But there's a penalty marker down as he got ahead on a 2nd and 7 carry for first down yardage, but there is a marker down. It might be a clip or a hold against the Seattle Seahawks.
Well, he had everybody going every which way, Don. He started the play just going right into the middle of the line. By the time he broke outside, he caught a lot of people unaware. When a team gets a little sloppy, these are the kind of plays that take place. The team that's ahead makes big plays out of no situations. You see, Moore should be stopped right at the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
He isn't. He gets out. Now his own team is a little startled. They try to help him out as well as they can. August comes in. I guess they called him.
Jeff Moore, a rookie from Jackson State, still has turned out a few great ones, more than a few. Walter Payton, Robert Brazil.
Number 84.
White shoes.
White shoes Johnson they got, and so when the clock shows 3:36 left to play.
I'm wrong, Donnie. That's got to be Sam McCullum.
Sudden Sam, yeah. White shoes has been waiting on the sideline to get it. He's hoping to get into the end zone. Sudden Sam's been there twice.
They're leaving a slot back wide open.
Second down and 22 for Zorn and the Seahawk offense. Big rush. Penalty marker down. Jodat short armed the ball. Thought there might be a loss on the play if he caught it. And a penalty marker's down also.
You can see Zorn give it that, geez, I thought I had something. He tried to audible to hit McCullum in the slot right straight down the field. Nobody was watching him. When he did, they covered off and picked him up.
Red Wyatt makes the assessment against the Houston Oilers, and here's the call.
Personal foul, face mask, defense, first down.
That hurts. Automatic first down on the defensive face mask call against the Oilers.
Unless there's a sudden change, and it doesn't appear as if there's going to be one, this is probably the flattest I've ever seen Houston in the 7 years I've covered them.
Today. Jodat gets the carry on first down from his 24-yard line and hammers the ball out to about the 28. Curly Kelp, the middle guard, number 78, made the knockdown for the Oilers. Doris at left end, Kelp's the middle guard. Elvin Bethea went out of the game with that shoulder injury. It's going to keep him out the rest of the day. Jesse Baker's over there playing right in. Ted Washington, Greg Bingham back in the line. Robert Brazil in there. Ted Thompson in the game. Second down and 7 out for Seattle. Ball at the Seahawks 28-yard line. They lead the game 26-0. Zorn throws a strike to Largent. And Largent gets ahead and loses the ball. It's a free ball, and Houston has it. Largent got ahead for a 25-yard gain, then lost the ball, and Houston has it back. J.C. Wilson recovers.
That's the second time in the half that they've been given a good break. They haven't done anything the first time. See if they can turn something into points this time. I mean, Zorn has got all day to throw it. He's allowing Largent to go way down the field to make his turn. You can see August and Newton on the right side, and they're just putting people away over there. Nobody's bothering Zorn, nor are they bothering Largent.
This year, the Oilers have averaged possession of the ball on offense more than 40 minutes a game, but not today. Seattle's been in command. Thank you, Brian. It has been Seattle all afternoon here at the Astrodome. The Seahawks leading the game 26-0, 2:30 left to play in the third quarter. Now, the Oilers have it back on a fumble recovery. Stabler takes a look, looking long, throws over the middle. He's intercepted again. Again, the Seattle Seahawks intercept.
Hey, it's part Stabler throwing a bad ball. The other part is Seattle's defense has totally confused them.
Keith Simpson gets it here, John.
Keith Simpson's been a thorn in their side, Donnie. Look, here comes Stabler. Now, you can't ask for more time to throw the ball than this. Both his wide receivers are not open. He's trying to go to White Shoes, then he's trying to go to Renfro. He finally comes down trying to throw the ball away. Can't even do that.
So 4 times Stabler has been intercepted. Now Seattle has the ball, 1st and 10 at their 40. They go to the run, taking the ball is Jeff Moore. 195-pound rookie runner from Jackson State brings the ball out across the 42 to 43, where Vernon Perry knocked him down. VP, they call him. There's another product of Jackson State, Vernon Perry. Jack Patel, you'd think he was down 26-0.
Well, I'll tell you, Jack he's not full of a lot of expression, but when you talk about emotion, he is full of a lot of that. He gets his players ready to play when they play against a real good team.
Sure does.
And he's as fine a coach as you'll find in this game right now. He's brought Seattle along a lot faster than anybody thought possible.
2nd down and 6. Zorn takes a deep drop, stands in, throws hard, makes the connection, hits Joe down at the 50-yard line. On a 2nd and 7 play, they got what could be the needed yardage for the first down. Ted Thompson and Greg Bingham, 2 linebackers back in coverage, made the stop. But again, Zorn is on the money with his throw. And it is a Seattle first down with 1:20 to play in the third quarter. 21-9 is the score now. Pat Leahy just kicked a field goal for the Jets, but New England still out in front in that game, and the Jets lost their best runner, Clark Gaines, with a broken leg. Cockcroft just hit a field goal from 40 yards. They've got a good one going at Cleveland. It's all tied up, 16-16. Seahawks go back to the run, and the ball is taken down across midfield into the 45-yard line. Jeff Moore runs it again, and he is knocked down on the play by Bingham.
When Zorn said that his offensive line may be the biggest improvement on the squad, they had a pretty darn good offensive line before it improved. I have not seen anybody run the ball consistently for 5 yards a crack against Houston on the ground before. I've seen them do it all day long, so I guess I have to agree with them.
Lewis Bullard, 72. Jeff Seavey, 70. John Yarnell, Bob Newton, Steve August across the front. They're the blockers. Here comes Seattle with another run. Jeff Moore fighting hard. Houston Oilers trying to strip the ball away. Moore takes it down inside the 45-yard line. On a 2nd down and 7 carry, he got ahead for about 3. Ken Kennard made the stop. Bill Gregory in repose on the sideline.
Well,
he's resting. He'll be back in there shortly. He's been tough when he's been in there. That's the end of the third quarter with the score. The Seattle Seahawks 26, the Houston Oilers nothing, and we'll be right back after these messages from your local station. The Seahawks have the ball back. They lead the game 26-0. This is Don Criqui with John Brodie at the Astrodome in Houston, Texas. 3rd down and 6. Center. Wide receivers are running fly patterns down the field, but Jim Zorn had no football to throw.
Yeah, and if he had maintained possession, he'd have had another touchdown because Houston pulled out all the stops. They sent 9 men. There was a little exchange problem between Yarno and himself, and that can happen when you try to get somewhere in a hurry.
That was the opening play of the fourth quarter. And now we have punting down coming up for the Seattle Seahawks. Dropping back deep as Roaches for Houston. Herman Weaver, who's punted the ball very well for the Seahawks the few times they've punted. Fair catch is signal for and made. There's also a penalty marker down.
Yeah, because the Oilers had 10 men on the field. And then they tried to run another one in a little bit late, and he got caught.
Offside is signaled against the Oilers. It was a 4th and 9 down that Seattle punted on. This would make it 4th and 4. That is a big story. 5 Oiler turnovers, 4 on interceptions of Stabler.
And most of them were created. There was one bad ball thrown, but most of it was because of excellent defense, Seattle-wise.
Offside defense declined. First down.
Oilers are going to take the ball where they fair caught it. Right now, with 14:29 left to play in the game, and the Seahawks in the lead 26-0. The Oilers come out of the huddle and head back into it. There's a break in the action. We'll be back to the Astrodome after this. We're back and set to go at the Astrodome. Oilers have the ball, trailing in the game 26-0. Fourth quarter. Stabler throws. He hits his tight end, Mike Barber. And Barber is out to the 21-yard line. Michael Jackson there to hit him and knock him down. 14:15 left to play.
Well, you'd say, hey, you've got to go down the field a little farther, Ken, but he doesn't have time. The whole defensive surge by Hardy, Tuiasosopo, Gregory, and Jacob Green has been awesome. They've had their hands in Stabler's face all day long. He doesn't have time to get his receivers down the field.
That has been the story. The Seahawks with a much more impressive off-defensive rush against the pass they've had in recent seasons. Here's the throw. It's completed. Well-thrown ball, and moving in, taking it nicely, was Richard Castor. Second catch of the day. Richard Castor is ahead from the 21 all the way out to the 37-yard line. 16-yard gainer on the play.
All right, this could very easily be a bad time to pick up a man that's had a great game. Manu Tuiasosopo, this is one of the few times he's been held off Stabler. As a result, they picked up 16 yards.
Defense declined. First down.
Stabler sets his team down now. 1st and 10 at the 38-yard line of the Oilers. Long ball, there's a man there, and it's caught. And a penalty marker comes in after the play. Jeff Grope, turning back at the ball, made the reception at the 46-yard line of Seattle. John Harris was covering on the play. That was good for a 17-yard gain.
Pass interference, number 44 defense declined. First down.
They'll take the passing yardage. Play was completed despite the defensive interference, and so the Oilers have the ball 1st and 10 now at the 45-yard line of Seattle. Stabler takes a look, throws, and tight end Mike Barber can't hold out. Turning in, he had Jackson beaten by a step. Goes incomplete. It'll be 2nd down and 10 for the Oilers at the 45-yard line of Seattle.
Problem was, on a delayed pass, you'd expect to beat your linebacker by more than a step down, and Jackson really made Barber hurry. As a result, took his eye off the ball, and it hit the carpet. It's the way things have gone all day for the Oilers.
Come on, Seahawks, let's go.
That's pretty indicative right there, isn't it,
Yep,
Pal?
that tells it all. Unofficially, the total yardage difference, Seahawks have 258, Oilers 160. But when it comes to points, Seattle has them all, 26-0. Rob Carpenter on the run, Robert Hardy on the tackle for Seattle. Ball advanced down to the 37-yard line. 3rd down and 2 coming up now for Houston. Norman comes out at linebacker. Beeson goes back in. Beeson expert against the run. Down and 2 for Houston. Earl Campbell turns upfield and rockets into the defense, gets the first down inside the 35 to the 33. We'll watch Earl Campbell again now, John.
You know, Earl Campbell is running the ball very well. It's stated that he is healthy, but he is not running the ball the way you would expect the National Football League's leading ground gainer. Seattle has been able to contain him, give him 4, give him 5. He has not broken loose all day. The one time he almost did, he picked up 8 yards, and that's about the longest game we've seen.
Stabler set to throw, takes a look, throws long. He's got a man open and completed for 10. Jeff Groth diving for the ball. Because of the groin injury, Earl Campbell came into this game with only 174 yards rushing through the first 4. A season ago, through the first 4 games, he gained almost 500. But he did come in with his usual 4.6 per carry average. Just hasn't carried the ball that often this year, getting more work today. Campbell, a great pressure player. Last 7 games of 79, he rushed for over 100 yards. Oilers were heading down the stretch into the playoffs.
Little blitz. They're coming.
Ooh, and they get Stabler. Strong safety Keith Simpson, untouched, comes shooting through and nails Kenny Stabler back outside the Seattle 40. They'll spot it at the 44-yard line, and substantial loss on the play takes Houston way out of field goal range.
That really wasn't an offensive breakdown, and it was a strategic plus defensively for Seattle. They just outmanned the Oilers. The only person left to pick up Simpson was Stabler, and it seems like at the perfect time, Seattle's got Houston's number, and that's about all you can say.
Say out of field goal range, you wonder if the Oilers wouldn't put something out just to avert the shutout, something they've not suffered here in the Astrodome. Here's an offside. Barber leaving early. Just misfiring. Seattle has their stuff together, and the Oilers are misfiring on offense all over the field. 4 interceptions of Stabler, numerous penalties. That a procedure penalty as Barber left early.
I don't know how to describe it, but it is contagious. You see their top players, guys like Craig Stemrick, short-arming a ball before the half.
86.
Mike Barber blown off sides a couple times today, dropped the ball. Now, he's one of their top players. You expect good, steady performances from those sort of fellas. Stabler's thrown 4 interceptions, and I don't know what's causing it, but I sure know it's there.
Here's a throw to Coleman. He's down to the 40-yard line. On 3rd and about 28 yards to go for the first down. The Oilers get some of it back, but they're way short of a first down. Next week on NBC, exciting NFL action continues with a doubleheader. First, join Bryant Gumbel and NFL 80 for an up-to-the-minute look at news, scores, and highlights, plus a special feature on violence in sports. Then most of you will see the Pittsburgh Steelers take on the Cincinnati Bengals, and then the Oakland Raiders battle the San Diego Chargers, plus other regional games. Check your listings for the game and time in your area. There's the snap. Hunting the ball downfield is Parsley, angling for the sideline. It hops out of bounds at about the 17-yard line. And there's a penalty marker down at the line of scrimmage with 10:51 left to play in the game. And Seattle in the lead 26-0.
It's okay, just first.
Face mask call. The Minnesota Vikings, who were down 23-3 to the Pittsburgh Steelers, have now rallied back in that game and trailed 23-17. Green Bay, that's in the 4th quarter. Green Bay in the 3rd quarter leads Cincinnati 14-6. Baltimore's gone in front of Miami 24-17 in the 4th quarter.
Personal foul, face mask, number 52 after the punt. First down.
Well, I think you can see by the dejected walk on all the Oilers, these next 10 minutes may be very long.
10:51 to go, and it's never been a ball game since the Seattle Seahawks took the early lead and continually build on it. We'll be back at the Astrodome after this.
There's nothing like new.
All the way from Alaska, the Cordova Seahawkers here. Bringing the Seahawks a lot of luck on the road. In fact, they haven't seen anybody score against them in the 2 games the Cordova Seahawkers have been around. Shut out Washington, now they're shutting out Houston. 26-0 in the 4th quarter. Seattle 1st and 10. Yodat runs the ball out to the 15-yard line. Ken Kennard 171. The middle guard was on the stop. Yodad coming off a 117-yard rushing game a season ago.
I think the fans finally found something to cheer about, Don. Got to be a baseball score.
Houston leading L.A. Got a long way to go in that one, though.
This group has in this one.
Zorn hands off, and Durnick runs straight ahead as the Seahawks now keeping the ball on the ground with a 26-0 lead. Jesse Baker. Just when they thought the Seattle running game was falling apart with the loss of Sherman Smith, the Seahawks rally back and develop a great running game. There is Atlanta out in front of Detroit, 36-13 in the fourth quarter. Billy Sims' Lions can't win them all, I guess. They already won a heck of a lot more than they did last year. Third down and 5 now for Seattle at the 17-yard line. Zorn timing patterns, got a man out there and it's just overthrown. Sam McCollum under the ball, had a hand on it and he would have been gone again.
Every time that Sam McCollum finds a way to get open, Zorn will come down to him. He's hit him 3 out of 4 times. That time he missed. You know, I think you have to give some credit to the people that get the players for Seattle that no one has heard of. They've got 10 free agents on their ball club that are all contributing a lot to their their whole team development. Dick Mansberger has done a great job up there, and he scouts everywhere. They've got people from places nobody's heard of.
Well, Mansberger, of course, came in from the Dallas Cowboy organization. He was the guy that knew where Jim Zorn was. The Cowboys thought they had him quietly put aside out in Los Angeles working. Not so. A 47-yard punt. And the Houston Oilers will go on offense when we come back. In the last 2 meetings, Seattle has outscored Houston now 60-14. John Brodie, there's a guy that's going to help the Oilers when he comes back off the injury list, Kenny Burrow.
He's been their big play man over the years, Don. I think his size has a lot to do with it. Right now, the Oilers are playing with Mike Renfro and White Shoes Johnson. And they're excellent receivers, but they don't give you the real speed, big play that a guy like Kenny Burrows can give you. You can see that it's affecting Houston desperately. They need somebody that can come up with a touchdown when everything looks a little bleak.
Stabler throwing on a first down, and Groth couldn't hold out of the ball. The Seahawks of Seattle have the toughest schedule in the National Football League, as their fans are well aware, based on last year's records. In an 11-day span coming up this season, they have 3 games. At home against Oakland on a Monday. The following Sunday, they're at Denver. The following Thursday, they're at Dallas.
Interception.
Another one. Cornell Webster gets one. Look. I'm telling you.
Well, I can remember one time, Don, when Stabler was out in Oakland and he threw 7 interceptions, and people were on him about it. We discussed it one time. He said, I'm glad the ball game didn't go another 20 minutes. I'd have thrown 15. Today, he might reach that if they get the ball back very many more times. These have been great interceptions, though. Generally, you see yourself with the defender behind your receiver. You don't worry about getting the ball picked off. He's had 3 picked off in that very same situation.
Now Coach Jack Patera with the luxury he thought he'd never had of giving some work to his backup quarterback. Sam Atkins from Wichita State is in the game. First and 10 for Sam and the Seattle offense, 45-yard line of Houston. Jodat runs the ball right at the Oilers. Takes it right over second base, and in a cloud of dust he goes down after a gain of 3. Jesse Baker and Mike Stensrud were on the stop for the Oilers. 8:40 left to play in the game. And the Seattle Seahawks have been in command from the outset. Scored 3 points in the first quarter. Put the game away with 20 points in the second quarter, including 2 touchdown passes from Jim Zorn to Sam McCollum. Another Herrera field goal in the third quarter. And it's 26-0 Seattle. Herrera with a team record 4 field goals in this game, one of them from 50 yards out. Second down and 6 coming up now. Seattle at the 42-yard line of Houston. Play fake, and Atkins wants some. Long ball. Sawyer's out there as tight end. Great reception down to the 15-yard line.
Boy, he took that. He made a great catch out of a ball that I didn't even think he could touch, Don. can see here's Atkins, and some people say, "Hey, boy, we'll get you. What are you piling it on for?" I don't think there's any such thing as piling it on in professional football. The game is to get all you can. Atkins makes a beautiful execution of a play pass, but Sawyer made the pass complete with an outstanding reception. They've got it back down on the 15-yard line, moving in again.
25-yard gainer on the play. Atkins getting a chance to play. You can't fault him for wanting to throw it.
No. This game is fun, and if you're winning, it even becomes more so.
7:30 to go, and it's been a lot of fun for Seattle. 26-0 they lead. Handoff goes. Running with the ball is Jeff Moore, and he's all the way down to the 5-yard line. The Oilers, they have to do a little regrouping.
You talk about Miami and their no-names 6 or 7 years ago. How about this group? Jeff Moore hasn't exactly been a household word lately, but he's got moves that make you very impressed with the way he runs the ball. He's done it on 4 or 5 different occasions, and it doesn't matter who they put in there. They're grinding out yardage.
Jack Patera is one of his brothers. Ken Patera is one of the strongest men in the world. I don't think Jack's one of the weakest.
He's getting stronger every week.
He must really look mean when they're losing. What a job he's done.
He just doesn't change expression.
Coach of the year in 77. 78 when they went 9-7. Here is a roll-out run, and let's see what they have. Another penalty marker comes flying in from off the play. With 6:17 left to play in the game. Other scores around the league. Pittsburgh leads Minnesota 23-17 in the 4th quarter. Green Bay in the 3rd quarter in front of Cincinnati 14-6. Denver and Cleveland are tied in the 4th quarter 16-all. Could be an OT at Cleveland. Jets trailing New England 21-9 in the 4th quarter at New York. Baltimore has rallied from behind. Colts were down 17-10, and now behind Burt Jones, they've gone in front of Miami 30-17. Atlanta blasting previously unbeaten Detroit. Holding call on offense. Mark Bell, one of the tight ends, was called for it. Atlanta leading Detroit 43-13 in the 4th quarter. St. Louis over New Orleans 30-7 in the 3rd quarter. Philadelphia leads Washington 24-14 in the 4th quarter. And Houston on top of Los Angeles at Dodger Stadium 2-0 in the top of the 2nd. Later starts today, Buffalo at San Diego, 2 unbeatens, Kansas City at Oakland. Sam Atkins has a problem. He eludes it, and Sam's got somewhere to go right now, including the sideline. He bails out like a wise quarterback. Ed Thompson ran him out.
I don't think he realized how far behind the line of scrimmage he was when he started. He still had time to look for a receiver. He's going back, and if you're going to throw when you've got a group down 26-0, they're going to see if they can't do something about it.
That's right.
However, in this case, he eludes all 3 of them. Gets back not anywhere near the line of scrimmage, but to safety.
I was talking to Zorn before the game. John Atkins came out. He says, "I'm the quarterback you should be talking to." Second down coming up. Second and goal. Atkins looks into the end zone. Here he goes. He looks like Jim Zorn on that. Takes it down inside the 10. Sudden Sam better hurry on down to the ground, because those Oilers, when you're standing up and stop, tee off on you like a tackling dummy.
You better find a receiver pretty soon, because I know he's got to be getting tired. Now, this is a situation where if a team's playing pretty well, they're not going to let the quarterback out of their grasp. Curly Cup just can't get over to make the play. I think 3 or 4 fellas got a shot at him. Looks like a big jump center.
Next week, the Seahawks come home from this long road trip, and they will be going against the Cleveland Browns at the Kingdome. Then they head to New York to play the Jets, or at Oakland after that. Atkins in trouble, and Atkins goes down. So Sam doing his best to get some more points up, and the others doing their best to take care of Sam. They just did.
The important thing is for everybody on the club to keep hanging in there, to do whatever they can to help themselves out, because coaches look at films when scores are 26-0. You get in that film room on Tuesday, and if you haven't given it everything you've got, not only do you feel bad yourself, but your coaches tend to change their viewpoint of you. Now, 53, Hollywood Henderson's a man that has to show the coaches over again that he can play football. Any opportunity he gets to play, he will not let down.
Herrera trying for a 5th field goal, breaking his own team record if he gets it. Finally missed one. 4 for 5 for the day, including a 50-yarder. So with 4:31 left to play in the game, the Seahawks continue to lead the Houston Oilers 26-0. Texas, this is Don Criqui with John Brodie. 4:31 left to play in the game, and the Seattle Seahawks in command of the Houston Oilers 26-0. Next week, the Houston Oilers go to Kansas City, a team that's not won a game yet this year. And the Oilers playing like they haven't won any, but they're going to be 3-2 coming out of this. They just had a bad day. And the Seattle Seahawks had a great one. Their best team effort of the season. The Seahawks coming in here, shutting out the high-scoring Oilers, and Kenny Stabler intercepting Stabler 5 times. Mike Barber makes the reception, but on a first down play, it's not good for that much yardage. And the Oilers are nowhere near the Houston or the Seattle end zone. They've not been all day except on one occasion. Then they turn the ball over. Second down and 6 from the 27. Downfield, the ball is thrown and separated. Rich Castor had it. Dave Brown whacked it loose. NBC Sports World is returning on October 18th at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. Live, it's a 10-round light heavyweight bout between undefeated Michael Spinks and Yaki Lopez. Then some of the greatest names in bowling go pin for pin in the legends of bowling, including live World Series reports on Sports World that day. That's all Saturday, October 18th at 4 o'clock Eastern Time, following the World Series here on NBC. Stabler takes a drop. 3rd and 6. He throws. Man is open. The ball is caught by Jeff Groth at the 44-yard line for a first down. But there is a penalty marker down, John, at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, but I don't think it's against Houston. I think one of the Seattle Seahawks got a little edgy, went before the snap of the ball.
Offside defense declined. First down.
16-yard gain on the play.
Okay, we're taking a look at a play that really doesn't mean very much, but it does to each individual. You've got to do your job in professional football on every given play. You can't let any of these defensive linemen get to your quarterback late in the ball game. Stabler overthrowing the defense. That defense has been right in his hair all day long. If it's not the pass rush, it's the defensive secondary. Now they're going on 8 quarters of scoreless defense against Washington, which has a pretty darn good offense, and now the Oilers, who have been scoring at will as of late. They're about ready to be watched, I believe.
Recent game when Stabler put the ball up about 40 times. Saw him in the locker room afterwards. One of the people said, "Surprised you don't ice your arm down after throwing that much." He says, "Nah, this baby can go all day. I'm working on medium speed." Over the midfield live on a 2nd and 10 carry. The Oilers drive the ball with Tim Wilson carrying. Baltimore leading 30-17 over Miami. That game now in the 4th quarter. The Colts rallying back for 20 unanswered points from a 17-10 deficit. They take the lead.
Well, Miami's been down so often in the previous 3 games. It looks like they're finally going to get beaten. New England, the Jets.
Jets just got a safety. The Jets considered a contender in the AFC East, heading towards an 0-5 start. Here's a handoff to Tim Wilson. Runs the ball over midfield and down to the 45-yard line. Keith Butler was on the stop. Denver has now taken the lead on a Fred Steinfort field goal over Cleveland, 19-16 in the 4th quarter.
Survival time for Denver. They're 1-3 and can't afford any more losses this early in the season.
Atlanta and Detroit having a track meet down in Atlanta. Falcons led early, led big, and now they're out in front 43-28. Philadelphia leading Washington in the 4th quarter, 24-14. First and 10. Stabler takes a look from his 45. Throws to Earl Campbell. It's incomplete with 2:13 left to play in the game. Green Bay leading Cincinnati 14-6. Amidst conflicting reports that Bart Starr could be leaving the Packers. I doubt if he will after this game if they hold up. Some speculation, John, that George Allen may be headed there.
Well, Donnie, you know, it's hard to say. There's always speculation about so many things in coaching, and you know, if you lose in this sport, it's the nature of the game. You can't expect to be there long, and everybody that finishes on the bottom every year is subject to losing their job. That's just the way the game is structured.
Here's Jeff Groth coming across the middle at the 40-yard line, making the reception. On a 2nd and 10 play, he gained 5. And the clock is down to 2 minutes. We have a timeout.
Here's Jeff Groth, who's a real fine young receiver. But at this time in the ball game, you can see Dave Brown just laying off. They're not going to give them any more than they have to. But they would love to shut them out. I mean, that'd be a real feather in their cap, Don, and they're well on their way to doing it.
Yeah, the Seahawks en route to their 3rd consecutive win after losing their first 2 games. Houston still holding up over the Los Angeles Dodgers in the 2nd inning of the final regular season game. The Astros move on to as the Western champions into the playoffs against Philadelphia if they win. Our thanks in the booth to Stovey Whitmore, Vernon Eschenfelder, Ken Johnson, and our entire crew from one of the great NBC affiliates, KPRC Television in Houston. Stabler throws long. He's got a man open. The ball is caught and lost. My goodness. Tim Smith, the rookie wide receiver from Nebraska, had his hands on the ball, saw the end zone, and must have shook him up. Lost the ball.
Well, it would have been a nice catch, Don, but you know, the game's a little too late. Stabler throws the ball, I think, very well down the field. I don't think his receivers are quite quick enough to beat the secondary people for Seattle. They certainly haven't been today. But he gets all the room he needs right here, lays the ball over the top of Cornell Webster. Tim Smith looks like he's got the ball and trying to put it away. He bats it out of his own hand.
Even more impressive about this Seattle win today is the fact that the Houston defense created 2nd or 3rd the entire league coming in. Now Smith gets his hands on the ball and holds on inside the 30. On a 4th and 5 play, he gets ahead for 15 yards and a first down. And we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
You're watching Seahawks football on KING-TV, Seattle.
Ball is spotted down at the 27-yard line. It's a first down for the Oilers with 1:48 left to play. Our producer today for NBC has been Terry Ewert. Our director, Barry Stoddard. 1:48 left to play in this game. The Seahawks up 26-0. They led at the half, 23-0. An Efren Herrera 50-yard field goal in the 3rd quarter, the only scoring in the 2nd half. Goose eggs up across the board. There's a final score in. New England beats the New York Jets 21-11. The Jets go down to their 5th consecutive loss.
When's the last time Houston was given the donut in the Astrodome? I think it was 21-0 in '76 against Pittsburgh.
Right.
I mean, they had to have played better on that day than they have today.
I wouldn't want to have to play them next week.
Nope. But I wouldn't like to have to play Seattle next week.
No. Now, Seattle's got it together. Boy, they got up to a bad start, and they really started to put together. Stop and look, they've shut out their last 2 opponents, and Kansas City only had 1 touchdown against their defense.
The tough thing now is when you're looking at an opponent for the next week, we watch Stabler go back to throw. Well, that isn't going to get it. Tried to go to Castor, but I was trying to get back to a point. When you're looking at a team to try and figure out how you can beat them, and you're looking at 2 films in which neither of their opponents scored a point, you wonder how you're ever going to find a way to score against them. And as we see Stabler going back to throw the ball, this is kind of the way the game's been going all day. They're coming from behind him, in front of him. Bill Gregory actually tried to hold Stabler up on the play, but he couldn't.
Blitz. Keith Simpson Set Stabler down gently. Nicely done by Keith, because he could have put him away.
Well, it's late in the game, and Stabler's played this game for a number of years effectively. Been one of the great quarterbacks. This has to go down as one of the worst days he has ever had since he's been playing professional football.
Well, a lot of great ones have had bad days. George Ratterman, the former Cleveland Brown quarterback, once threw 5 interceptions against San Francisco. Paul Brown said to him in the locker room afterwards, "What went wrong out there today, George?" Ratterman said to Brown, "You must have been calling the wrong plays." Oh, it's almost 6th. Almost intercepted by Keith Butler. Your name is Keith and you come from Memphis State. The Seahawks draft you. They get Keith Butler in his 3rd year, 2nd round choice in '78. Keith Simpson, who's their best defensive back, certainly one of the 2 best. He's from Memphis State. The Seattle defense, which has been giving up a lot of points in recent years, they've been winning because Zorn and the offense have gotten so many, has really come to town with a show outfit today. Putting the stops on Houston all day long. Here's a throw and an incomplete pass at the 15-yard line. On 4th and 10, incomplete, but there's a penalty marker down with 1:29 left to play.
And that really did perturb the Seattle defense. I saw a couple of defensive backs, John Harris, Dave Brown, almost throw their helmet when the flag was thrown because it's very important. That'll give them a 1st down. That means they've got to be out there for 4 more plays. For them to get a 2nd shutout is a very big item, and they're close to losing it. They hate to lose it by a penalty.
Illegal contact, number 21 defense, 1st down.
The shutout of the Washington Redskins last week was the Redskins' 2nd shutout in the last 110 games. The Oilers haven't been shut out of the Astrodome since '76. Ooh, here's a blitz. It's picked up. Stabler throws into the end zone. Barber's there. Touchdown, Oilers. And what's left of this crowd is cheering awfully loudly.
Well, they're very supportive here in Houston. They don't have much to be supportive about today. That play was a well-thrown ball by Stabler. I'll tell you why it worked. Keith Simpson is trying to safety blitz again. Stabler picks it up, and he picks it up in time for his offensive line to get their blocking assignment straight. When they do so, it's no match. When you've got Keith Butler on Mike Barber all the way down the field alone, there's no linebacker going to cover a tight end into the end zone.
Pittsburgh has defeated Miami 23-17. New England's defeated the Jets 21-11. Baltimore has upset Miami 30-17. Extra point is up and good by Fritsch. So the Oilers avert a shutout, but certainly aren't close to winning the football game. Seattle has been in command from early on in the 2nd quarter, and they lead it now 26-7. St. Louis has sent New Orleans down to its 5th loss in a row, 40-7. Philadelphia's beaten Washington 24-14.
And Don, I think if you want to give somebody a little advice, Seattle plays Cleveland next week. Seattle better get this ball game from Denver today, get their record to 3-2, because it couldn't get any easier next week for them. Seattle's about as impressive as any group you're going to see right now. And the way this game goes, when you're hot, and nobody likes to play a team that's had 2 shutouts. They missed it by a minute and a half. It's just been great defense. Their whole overall squad, the play is outstanding.
Jack Patera, the man who orchestrates the whole thing, the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. An organization that was put together with only winners. Everybody in the front office, the coaches all came in, the scouting system from winning organizations. Patera started his career as the coach of the fearsome foursome, Lamar Lundy and Deacon Jones and those Los Angeles Rams of fame. Then spent some time with the New York Giants, on to Minnesota, and subsequently the head coaching job at Seattle.
You'd think their sideline would be a little excited, but it appears to me that they view it as another day in the park. Not too many people beat Houston 26-7.
Here's an onside kick attempt. Ball slapped around. A lot of guys working on it. Seattle says they've got the ball. And apparently they do, with 1:17 left to play. So Sam Atkins in the offense. Sam taking over for Jim Zorn when this game was out of reach. Goes back out to quarterback the club.
We're looking at a little onside shift. Maybe they're trying to show somebody for their next week's opponent. because at this time in the game, if they weren't trying to showcase it, it's not going to be very effective. This is something they might have done when it was 16-0, 13-0, 26-7 with a minute to play. Ain't going to get you much.
No, sir. Seahawks go to the run on first down and take the ball out across the 40 to the 41-yard line. And the clock winds on down to 1:07 to play. Greg Bingham was on the tackle. So the Oilers' record will go to 3-2. They'll be a full game behind the Pittsburgh Steelers, who've won today 23-17 over Minnesota. The Seahawks' record will also go to 3-2 after an 0-2 start. They'll be very interested to see the outcome of that San Diego-Buffalo game, the match of the unbeatens at San Diego today. They're the only two unbeatens left. Detroit's getting walloped at Atlanta 43-28 in the fourth quarter late in the game. Seahawks go to the run on second down and 8 from their 41-yard line. Early Cup makes the stop. As Seattle now letting the game wind down. Players start to go across the field. Clock starts out, 17 seconds left to play. That's the Oilers scoring drive. It came too little and too late. But it did stop a shutout, John.
It did, and I hope it does something for Houston next week, because their schedule gets no easier either. But for Seattle, it's been a great day.
Jack Patera goes across the field to say hi, and nice game to some of his guys, and also to Bum Phillips. Bum always gracious in defeat, although he doesn't like it. Doesn't get beaten very often.
Well, Bum Phillips is one of those people that is about the same when he wins and when he loses outwardly. He loses very hard, but he doesn't run around accusing players of not trying, of not doing their best. He'll get them regrouped. They'll be a contender before the year is out. He knows that this is probably the worst ball game that any of his teams have ever played.
And you won't get them this way very often. You also have to pay tremendous tribute to the overall team effort of Seattle. Seattle was a very, very impressive football.